This is the Apex Legends Global Series, where the best Apex Legends competitors gather together to take their shot at playing for glory, fame, and bragging rights. When we met for Online Tournament 4, it looked early on like Reps and the rest of TSM were on their way to another first-place finish. But an untimely disconnect by TSM Alberlately opened the door for Rogue to snipe the top spot for themselves by a slim 3-point margin, once again leaving TSM in the runner-up position. But today, the dropships are loading up with more challengers, all vying to knock the crown off of Rogue's head. Can Team Solafide shake their third-place seat and claim the top slot? Or will a new challenger, like Happy Campers Pro, show that they've got what it takes to be immortalized as champions? It's time to find out which teams are going to surprise us. Who will pull out those devious, notorious rat strats? Who is going to outshoot, outthink, and outplay their rivals? Who's pushing with R99s and PKs? And who's sitting back with a scout? Ready up and settle in. Welcome to the Apex Legends Global Series.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to ALGS Online Tournament number 3. Fallout here, back at it with the one and only Hodsick. We are live from the dropship, Octane's room to be specific. Well, man, Hodsick, we're back for part 2 of this broadcast. This time, it's the North American Finals. How you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. The EU tournament today was extremely exciting. Probably one of the best tournaments for the EU region to date. That was a heck of a lot of fun to watch, and I'm hoping for the same result here in NA.
Yeah, the craziest thing is every single broadcast, and this is not storied, we're not, expected to say this. It feels like we're always talking about how the tournament is better than the last one. That's been true with Europe each and every time, and really the last 2 online tournaments especially, it's been true with North America, as we've seen TSM so close but so far in a second place finish, which they, of course, don't like themselves. They wanted to take home first place, but Rogue won the last one. Team Liquid won the one before. Well, guess what? No TSM this time around. We're going to have a lot to talk about, that is for sure. But once again, we are lucky to have Hodsick on the desk with us, former professional player for the Pittsburgh Knights and currently a active analyst in the scene of Apex Legends. And we're excited for the North American Finals. It's a lot of additional storylines that we are going to be teeing up for y'all today and getting ready for, and I hope you're all excited as well. Thank you so much for being here and supporting the growth of competitive of Apex, because I'll tell you what, the online tournaments get better and better. Let's go ahead and jump into the schedule for the day and take a look at what we are going to expect. Of course, this is what you're used to seeing with each online tournament, is the start times for Europe and North America. So this is going to be consistent across all online tournaments. It's been the same with the 4 before this one. So make sure to mark your calendars for each and every one of them. This is, of course, online tournament number 5. We're going to be kicking off here in just moments as we're gearing up and getting ready for North American Finals. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the overview of the tournament to see how the teams got here today. Of course, teams competed originally in the online tournament qualifiers. The first time around, they had to really grind their way through a single elimination bracket. 119 teams kick things off. Only 20 teams remain, as 119 teams have been eliminated. We started with 139 teams total. Teams played 2 rounds before reaching the grand finals of Saturday. And then, of course, the top 20 teams made it to today. And let's take a look at the format for today. It features 5 matches. And of course, the point system we've all talked about. 20 squads, 60 participants total from some of our top teams. Teams are going to earn points in each match based on placement and kills. Both are equally important. We saw kills really play a factor in Europe. And of course, the team with the highest score in the end will be the winner of online tournament number 5. Hodsick, I'm going to take a second to breathe here, and I want to hear your thoughts on what we saw, of course, in Europe, and your thoughts on the overall structure of this tournament.
What we saw in Europe was actually very similar to what we've seen every week from the North American tournament, where it was a lot more kill heavy than the last couple online tournaments. In fact, I think the winner won with, was it 64 points, if I remember correctly? And the second place was like 61, which is a higher point total in general than we've seen from the European region indicating that it's been more heavily kill based and less placement based than they're usually accustomed to. So it was a very, very high octane, pun intended, tournament. So it was really fun to watch. Kind of expecting the same here.
Yeah, exactly right. You teed it up perfectly. We're used to North America playing high kills and playing uber aggressive. We're not necessarily used to that in the European region. So what can you expect today? Well, you can expect the same exact type of aggression that we saw in Europe. Teams playing for kills. I think the meta is somewhat shifting just a tiny bit. Obviously, placement's important, but we're seeing teams really pick their fights and try and play for high kills. We're seeing a lot of top heavy placements. Although that wasn't necessarily the case in North America last week, because we saw a variety of teams in our last online tournament vying for that number one spot. In the end, Rogue did take it. And of course, what did Rogue take? Let's take a look at the prizing to see what we're going to see today for total prize pool of this tournament. Rogue, of course, took home first place last time around. We'll see who'll take home the first place prize pool. And again, a massive, massive shout out goes to EA for making a shift, recognizing obviously we no longer have majors due to current events, and giving prize money allotted to these tournaments, giving these players a chance to continue competing. Obviously, it's their livelihood for a lot of these players that are doing it full time, and then of course for the entire broadcast team as well. So it's great to have continued key storylines, continued online tournaments, not just for qualifiers, not just for ALGS points, but also for prize pool, Hodzik.
Absolutely. I mean, again, as we've all been reiterating, we'd all prefer to be on land, but having at least something every 2 to 3 weeks for the players to be able to stay interested and keep competing to fuel the competitive scene is probably more important than anything.
Yeah, and the fact that we not only get that is, in general, we get some competition, but we also get as high stakes of competition as we've seen. I mean, these online tournaments themselves almost feel like online majors. I mean, they're online tournaments. They were originally kind of designed to be qualifiers. Obviously, with the prize pool now, with the level of competition that we've seen in so many top teams, both in Europe and North America, the stakes have never been higher. Obviously, we all would all love to be on land. That was the original format of the Apex Legends Global Series, was these live major premier events. But given everything going on, love the pivot, love the prize pool that's added. A lot at stake for these top teams, these top players, that is for sure. And speaking of these teams and players, let's take a look at the top 20 teams right now in terms of ALGS leaderboard standings. This is overall not who we're going to see today. Just keep in mind, TSM currently in first. Well, they're not going to be here today. So if Team Liquid can perform, they're going to have to perform well and get 1,000 points here. They could potentially take over that number one spot over TSM, as TSM did not qualify in the semifinals. However, we see a lot of other teams we're used to seeing. Of course, Solafide, Rogue. And we got, of course, teams like Smile, Yeet Squad, who's made some appearances in the grand finals. Then we got some brand new teams as well. Let's take a look at the top teams that are going to be taking place today in this matchup. Of course, we've seen a lot of these teams in the past. Let's take a look at who we're going to see today. Which teams in our participating teams today stand out to you, Hodzik?
A couple of new faces, actually. I think one team that's really carved a name out for themselves is Solafide. They, I believe, placed second in OT3, but they've been consistently performing really well. I believe they placed third in the last tournament. So I'm actually particularly really interested to see how well they do this time around. They aren't a team that's typically talked about, and I do believe they're a bit underrated. So it's been fun. They've been doing really well in scrims as well. That's like the big one. The other one probably that many don't know of maybe or expect is probably Fishers, where we see current Sentinels Senox playing with United Crust and Rocker. So that team went crazy in the semifinals. I believe they were first with 57 points, and I think they even dropped 0 points on their last game. So that team frags. They're really smart and they're really mechanically gifted. So I'm excited to see what they can do.
Yeah, well, you talked about Solafide, you talked about Fishers. Let's take a look at our remaining teams to watch in this one that we can expect to go big. These are, of course, the teams that we know of, teams like Complexity, teams like Rogue, of course, Team Liquid. Rogue and Team Liquid have taken on championships in their own right. The one team on this list I'm interested in is Complexity. 2 times now, the last online tournaments, they started off so strong with a dominant Game 1 performance, dropping 20-plus points each time, dropping 18-plus kills each time, but they haven't been able to maintain consistency. I know you talked about this team and other analysts in the past saying, they want to kind of mimic the old Sentinels roster and how they always played so aggressive. They're known to always be in your face, and you always have to be careful fighting them. You want to mimic that, but that is high risk, high reward because you can get taken out early. So I'm excited to see what Complexity will do. Of course, in addition to that, we also have some kind of relatively new teams that we saw on that list. We got the Birdmen gang. We got the boys, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, Hodzik, got first place in their semifinal group, did they not?
They did actually. They've been
Yep.
a group that's been just grinding the game since the start. I don't think they entered into competitive right off the bat, but they've never taken a break from the game, and they're people that are commonly known around like the streamer and ranked community. So it was really nice. A couple of them are really nice dudes. It was really nice to see them actually do super well. It's always nice to see brand new faces right at the top.
Yep. I'm waiting for the one day, knocking on wood and hoping here that we see a team out of nowhere make a Cinderella story and win a whole online tournament championship. We'll see if it can happen, but you got to love this open major format, the opportunity for anyone to start qualifying online, anyone to play in this, and anyone to show up any given Sunday. Of course, one team that is not going to be showing up this given Sunday is TSM. Talk to me about what went wrong for TSM and why we're not going to see them here today.
It's tough to say. I didn't watch too much of their perspective, but from what I've seen, and I don't want to step on like too many toes, but from what I've seen, it maybe I'm guessing that with how much pressure they always have on them to be at the top, winning. I know Hal has spoken about this on Twitter and on his stream sometimes, where the pressure of being at the top, winning every tournament, and then people expecting that, the pressure gets greater every single tournament for them to perform. I think, unfortunately, maybe that this time they just crumbled. I think Hal admitted he was nervous at a couple of the games. So I think it'll be a big rebuilding period for them. And I can't imagine that they won't come back stronger for Online Tournament 6.
Yeah, and I got to say, I've always applauded the TSM roster for being honestly just leaders as individuals, great mentality, a great approach. They've done it since day one, and I've been one of their biggest fans on broadcasts. Well, true character shows in times of adversity, and I think their character has shown true. The fact that they didn't make excuses, they kind of admitted to where they went wrong, and they're going to work on it, go back to the drawing boards. We'll see if TSM can bring it back in future online tournaments. On the flip side, a team that also felt pressure, but a different type of pressure, is the Birdmen gang, who just snuck into this online tournament. It's an amazing story of a roster that has been grinding in each and every online tournament. And Tasty, one of their leaders on their squad, actually just started gaming in general in 2017. He's former U.S. military, I believe former Navy member. First off, thank you, Tasty, to your service. And a massive congratulations to the Birdmen gang. Some of y'all may have saw this on Twitter or elsewhere. Some of you maybe did not. But I want to go ahead and take a look at the reaction of the Birdmen gang, who grinded from ranked to ALGS and improved every single tournament to finally qualify and play for the first time. Take a look.
We did it! We did it! Yes! Yes! We made it! Bro, we made it by 3 points. We made it, boys! Let's go! Oh my god, bro, we made it to the finals!
There you have it from Tangy Sauce and the Birdmen gang. You love to see it. You could feel their passion. Honestly, my first time watching that, my hair on my arm stuck up a little bit. It was awesome to see the amount of passion that they have and their genuine reaction.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's what competing is like, and absolutely happy for them. It's just goes to show you in this type of format that if you grind hard and you are determined, anybody can play on the big stage with all these teams that we watch all the time. So it's just a testament to all the players out there that really want to get here. Anybody can do it. You just got to put down the work.
And now all eyes on the Birdmen gang. We'll see what they can do in the grand finals. Of course, we took that video from Twitter. We also have been taking tweets from Twitter every single broadcast. So if you want a chance to be featured and just in general, get the conversation started using hashtag ALGS on Twitter. Let us know your thoughts. What teams are you looking out for? Any upsets we can possibly expect? Who are you cheering for? Any big plays? Tweet at us using @PlayApex, of course, hashtag ALGS, and of course, tweet at myself @Fallout with 2 T's and @Hodsick. Would love to see your thoughts, and also maybe we could read some of your tweets on stream as well. And we're getting ready for game number 1. Wanted to set the stage quite a bit here. Hodsick, I'm going to throw it to you for one last kind of wrap up. Any thoughts? Any predictions? Who do you think is going to take top 3 here?
I'm excited to see if Complexity can match that same intensity in the last 2 tournaments. For those that don't know or haven't watched it, but Complexity came out with a massive kill win in both of the last 2 tournaments. The consistency struggled a little bit after that, but they are known as a hard fragger team. Most teams can identify them and typically try to run away from them because they are just a very difficult team to fight 3-on-3. So curious to see if they can pull that off again, and this time maybe even stick with it.
Yeah, consistency is key for that complexity roster. We know what they're capable of at their highs, and we got to see if they can balance out their lows and play a bit more consistent. We all love that complexity squad. We all love Monsoon, Lou, and Mirko. Fun team to watch. Or Reptar, sorry. Fun team to watch. That is for sure. We'll see what complexity can do. On my end, and again, not to stick with the obvious answer, but I'm interested to see what Rogue can do. Can they go back-to-back? TSM is not in this one. We haven't had a team ever in North America go back-to-back other than TSM. So can it be Rogue for the very first time, or maybe will Team Liquid take a championship, a second championship of their own? I'm excited to see how that plays out. I've seen a lot of hashtag sign snipe down on Twitter. We'll probably get some hashtag sign snipe down in the chat here, as we all know what type of impact snipe down has had, the GOAT himself, on that Rogue roster. So I'm incredibly excited for game number one. If it's even half as good as Europe was, we're in for an absolute treat. Hodzic and I will be breaking down gameplay in between each game, but guess what? We are ready with game number one. Let's go ahead and jump to it.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is your casting duo here, fresh as ever. And, maybe the haircuts aren't as fresh as we'd like to be. Well, I don't know, honestly. Your haircut's pretty fresh, in my opinion right now. But,
Already? You're really going to come at me like that? I mean,
I had to say,
come on, Evan.
I'm sorry, man. I think this is going to be fun for everybody watching at home. It's going to be fun for me and Mark as well. Rain Day and Onset here to break it down for you guys as we get into game one. So much on the line, Mark, as far as these teams. You heard a lot of the storylines mentioned already, but I do want to just get your general thoughts on today. I mean, what are you expecting looking at all of these teams that have shown up for North America?
I mean, I'm almost going to ban it now from the broadcast and talking about TSM, because the fact of the matter is they are not here. Okay, they haven't made it through to the final. They're not here. We shouldn't be talking about them. That's done and dusted. The teams we should be talking about are the teams who are in contention today to pick up a championship. And I think Rogue and Complexity are the two teams for me to watch, just because of what they've shown in the past tournaments. We've seen Rogue obviously winning the last tournament with a pretty dominant performance, to be honest with you. But I always feel like Complexity is a roster that just needs to put one more game in their series. They always have one big pop-off game, and then they kind of fall away a little bit. If they can have a couple of games in the series where they hit those highs, they could be taking home a championship. I think they're fired up for this as well. I was speaking to Monsoon a little bit beforehand, and just judging by some of the messages he was sending and the tone of those messages, I think he's just ready to go, and they just want to get into the action.
Sometimes it's about how you're feeling on that day, you know what I mean? And these guys seem to clearly want it and be ready to go for it today. We saw so much in Europe, but in North America, a whole new story will start to develop in a new narrative as we get through one game at a time in this 5-game set. But if you're watching at home and you want to know exactly how all these points work, what the scoring is about, and whether someone's in a good position to start taking a lead, let's take a look at how the points and placement end up affecting you. You talk about KB being so impactful, Mark, so often, but if you find yourself in those top fives, the KP sometimes starts to naturally roll towards you anyways because of how lethal those situations are.
I think you've summed it up perfectly there. If you can get into the top 5 spot, usually that's going to guarantee you KP along the way, with teams having to rotate in late and try and force into areas which are kind of disadvantageous positions in comparison to some of those center circle positions. So placement obviously is something you're going to be looking towards, but KP as well, so vital. A combination of the two is the recipe for success for these teams.
And these teams are going to keep trying to find themselves maneuvering around the constant obstacles. And that's what makes a BR like Apex so fun. Not only are we looking at different compositions, different meta choices, whether it's a weapon, whether it's a legend, we're also looking at just what happens in the game. Because what we ended up seeing in some of these tournaments is that things are maybe a 1 to 2 team kind of battle to supremacy. And then sometimes it is a 5-6 team free-for-all, Mark. And everyone is having a chance at the glory of the final game. And we don't see these kind of close neck and neck fights between the top 2 seeds. Do you expect North America, with the way Rogue is playing, with a little bit of a step down of the kings of that area, because we're not going to mention TSM anymore, but it is important to know that now that's opened up space for other teams to move in. Do you think this will be much more of an open lobby, maybe more akin to the Europe that we've seen of old, where 5, 6, 7 teams are vying for first place?
Honestly, I don't see it quite being like that, because I think in the last couple of online tournaments, we saw that gap closing at the top anyway. I thought we saw sort of 5 or 6, 7 teams who were always putting in consistent performances. And as I say, that gap was getting narrow every single tournament, to the point where the team who shall not be named, TSM, of course, and they got knocked off of their perch. they got knocked off at their perch, and Rogue kind of stepped up, and Complexity are always in that battle. And there's so many players and teams now that seem to have narrowed that gap for whatever reason. It's up to the teams who are outside of that pack to show that they can step up and they can win those fights, those straight 3v3 fights against some of these more dominant teams. It's set up to be an extremely interesting finals here for North America. And genuinely, I feel that game one is going to really set the tone for a lot of these teams moving forward.
We're getting close into game as well. Game 1 out of game 5, as you all watching at home have a chance to understand if you've been catching any of the earlier European action. But in North America, there's a new narrative, no matter what, about to unfold today. And that's what makes things so interesting as we get close to getting into game here. Obviously, we've seen a lot of changes in certain aspects of the meta. We've seen teams with Watson, Gibraltar, and Pathfinder actually do well. We saw Virtus Pro kind of hanging in there, having a moment, obviously, in Europe. I wonder if we'll see any differences in compositions, Mark. And one of the big things to me that I think is exciting that we've seen Hodzik even hint at is that we may see some caustics in North America today for the very first time. You buying that? You selling that? What do you think about the caustic showing up today?
You never know, right? You never know. Some of the teams aren't as well known as some of the teams that we have seen previously in the online tournament finals. So they might be able to sort of throw that curveball in there, which is going to open up the lobby. And like we always say, with a legend like Caustic, if you're picking him and you're the only team in a lobby who is picking him, if you can get him to get endgame, you're in the money. You really are. But it's getting that Caustic to endgame, which is so difficult. The one thing that is interesting for me is the fact that I can see compositions potentially changing as we move through these tournaments as the games go on and teams find themselves in different positions. But enough talk. I think it's time to get into the action now, Evan. It's game number 1. And boy, I'm ready for this one.
Exciting stuff here as the ALGS North American Online Tournament number 5 kicks off as we head into World's Edge for a battle that will determine the new leader of North America in the Apex competitive scene. Will it be Rogue? Will it be somebody else? We'll have to find out here as we start to drop as many of these names fly down from that drop ship looking for glory and a spot on the map where they'll find home for at least a little while until the final zone is over and they are the last one standing. Onset, this is one of those days where you feel like anything can happen based on how it's gone so far. The question is, will we see any upsets? Will we see some surprises?
But this is a BR, this is Apex Legends, and every time we get to these finals, there's always a surprise from one of the teams. There's always a player who pops off, and there's always excitement to be had, but it looks like we're finally about to get into the game. The dropship is moving, ladies and gentlemen. We're about to get into the action. I don't know who I want to watch from the start, to be honest with you. I would like to watch some Complexity just because of the fact in the last 2 online tournaments, in game number 1, they have had monster games. And if they can repeat that here, they might set themselves up for some success.
Reptar, Monsoon, Lou having some strong moments together as a unit. And we got to see if that can continue here as the teams start to fall out and find their spot. So crucial, this early moment in Apex Legends. Obviously, you see teams that are choosing where they want to land, but it's not just about that. It's about, where that RNG of that final circle is. What do they have to do once they land? How much time are they given? And are they close enough, or do they have to kind of make it through the perilous passes that so often end up showing up, like it did for Far here, and Reflex, 2 members down already. Far living on a prayer and a dream, but he's got a Havoc and a Hemlock, so this should at least help give him some offensive firepower, but he is going in, and he is going down.
Yeah, they go down very, very early. And although that might seem like a crazy play that he just tried to make with 1 HP and a Havoc to his name, he was just looking to secure at least 1 KP in that. There was a player down, and if he could have got that finish, even though his teammates had died and he was in an almost perilous position, 1 KP, and this might sound like a tiny amount to put on the board early on, but it's something to build on as the game to roll on.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you need here. Obviously, going down early, not the ideal situation. Looking at the boys here with firing along with the G7 Scout. No scope, but he doesn't need it. Hits 136 blue, and there's going to be a drop already. Ack is down. He's got Oi Senpai as well with a blue shield. He's just going to fire away, but oh my goodness. A Scout right back. Rebel 6, he finds the answer to the problem. That was the Gibraltar on top of it.
As well with the Havoc to melt the player on top of the roof, and as the last player alive for your team here with one of your teammates down, it's kind of a situation here of, do I just try and get out of dodge? Do I try and survive and try and rat out this game, or do I try and pick up some banners? And it looks like he's put on the sneakers. He's out of there as quick as possible just to try and maybe play for some late game placement and just try and stay alive.
Already a bit of, I think aggressiveness here to start, or at least a bit of contest. And that's, what we've seen a lot throughout the earlier parts of today. But Bowser, Sick, Scurry, they are not going to be in a hurry to give up this advantage. They found a nice kill. That's a couple of KP early on. They forced the team into a bad spot with only one member running around. They've made things already a lot easier for themselves heading into the next lobby as we move over with Force Sweat and Promo here over trying to just poke out a little bit with that triple take and the L-Star so far.
Yeah, triple take just trying to do some damage. They would have held that battle going on just to the north of where they're currently situated here, our drill site. So not a bad idea to maybe just try and get some eyes on the battle, maybe just pick up a kill on a down player, or just, just be a nuisance essentially to anyone who is in that fight. But now that the lobby's kind of started to settle down a little bit, we can see that Pathfinder beacon as well. It's going to be around the survey camp area to the north of the map. So you're going to see all teams already starting to make that passage, to make that voyage towards that area of the map and try and set up on some high ground, find themselves a comfy little spot to make a home.
Yeah, and we've seen certain lobbies actually have this a little bit more aggressively than we're seeing now. And I think, in game one, you do have a little bit more wiggle room. You're more carefree in some areas on set so that you can actually take a few more risks. You can be a little slower. You can kind of say, yeah, I'd like to rotate earlier, but maybe I want to loot up a little bit more, maybe risk this fight because there's a lot on the upside versus the potential downside when you already have, 4 games left, even if things don't go well here. So we may see some teams get a little bit more aggressive than they might have, but the patience, that ends up being the determining factor most of the time. How often can you just make the right decision over and over and over again throughout all of these 5 games?
I'm going to have to wait and see if that is true for some of these teams that are involved in our grand finals here. 19 squads remaining, though, and considering the fact that we did have early action on the map here on World's Edge, no real big eliminations apart from that one team that we did go down. But speaking of elimination potential here, Team Liquid very much in trouble. And just as we swap away from that at the moment, it was Complexity who have taken down Liquid. So an early scalp here for Complexity. And I mentioned that I was kind of having a little chat with Monsoon before this game kicked off, and his words to me are, we are playing this like a kill race. We are not going to worry about the placement points too much. We want to just dominate this lobby, get as many KP on the board, and just strike fear into anyone who runs into it. And I think that example there, coming up against Liquid, taking them on and taking them down early, great news there for Complexity.
And it absolutely makes sense, too. Psychologically, there are aspects to this game that, playing aggressive, knowing someone's going to push you maybe when they shouldn't, when you're in a good position and you don't want to take that risk. People may give you some more space. They may let you have a little bit more freedom, protecting what they feel is their best interest, not getting into a fight with a crazy man. We've all been in that situation, somebody going wild on the street, maybe, yelling things. You're like, let me just walk to the other side, just in case this person is having, a breakdown that I don't want to be a part of. It might not be safe for me. Sometimes you do just respect that. And I think Complexity have an interesting take here, going in so aggressively, taking down Liquid early. So far, it has paid off for them, and I think the rest of the lobby is definitely noticing.
And now they're going to have a little chance to reset in this battle as well, but don't be surprised to see them popping out almost immediately again. They're in a nice position here on the map as far as Circle is concerned. But look at this aggression coming out from Complexity. Monsoon immediately trying to portal in, get some shots, and apply pressure to teams who are trying to set up. And that is what I expect to see here from Complexity. This is what they said they were going to do, and now they're trying to execute.
Absolutely. And you can see over on the left, on the right-hand side, Birdman gang actually also getting into a fight with Godsent. So a couple of downs there. Still 18 squads, though. So no full downs for the team. But look at that damage, 108. Reptar, he picked up the Evo Shield level 4, and it's just one away with only a few minutes gone by on set. The power of the Scout and these players just up-leveling this Evo Shield so quickly that they have a significant advantage in battle heading into most of these fights later.
We have the opportunity here to actually jump into the comms of Complexity. They're going to be fired up. I want to see how they're playing this game and how the comms are going down between the three.
All right, let's think about rotates and shit. We can always TP back here late and then rotate all the way around if we need to. What's gonna happen is the zone's not gonna be ending here because there's a ton of Jibby teams here that for some reason think it's ending here. Yeah. Zone's not gonna be ending here. And we're just gonna be rotate out when everybody else is.
I'm topping off on Gen.
Yeah, I've got purple and wraith over there, or blue. I can't remember. I was thinking about rotates.
Yeah, when we have circle on us like this, though, we just have to be very fucking conscious that there's going to be so many teams rotating into us.
Yeah, 100%. It's not like that. It doesn't look like Survey, though. It's like, not Survey. Yeah, there's no way it's Survey. But why is there so many path teams here? There's like 4 teams here.
It could just be a hard shift up here. It could literally be on us.
Yeah. There's no way it ends here. There's no. It doesn't. This race has a scout over here, man.
I mean,
okay, it does. It does end here. It does end here.
We're chilling. We just play our building this. Fuck it.
Where can it end? It ends over here, right?
Yeah, it ends over there.
So we'll look to take RV late.
Yep.
Right in front of us south, yeah? That's so weird, dude. That's so crazy. I did not expect that pull at all. Yeah, neither did I. I thought we were just over here. Yeah.
Well, that listen in with Complexity, and they found out that it is most likely going to be Survey, not only because of how many Pathfinders were there, but a great insight, I think, onset into the discussion between teammates and how, even though it seems like it's clear, there's a lot of back and forth as to where circles actually are going to end in this game. It's not always clear-cut, as some people may think it is.
And the perfect example of that was, as you say, the kind of not being sure in the comms there from Complexity where this is going to finish. And so what they're doing is they're looking around for any kind of sign that the circle is going to be pulling towards where they are. So what do? Like you mentioned, look out for Pathfinder teams. Why? They have that passive. They can use Beacon. They're going to have the information on where that next potential circle is going to be. And the fact that they were able to poke with the scout and see so many Pathfinder teams just surrounding them, they know they're good. They can just set up. And Complexity not playing with that Pathfinder have been gifted that information by the other teams who are surrounding them.
And that is how to use, what you're working with to your maximum advantage. I mean, you may not have one, but you see people who do, and you make it happen there. Bird, though, and Birdman gang, they're just going to go back to that interception pylon. Always a safe place to be with the Watson. They're running that Watson Pathfinder Wraith combination, and so far decently geared up, but with their path only with a white shield, he cannot get as aggressive as you may see. We may not see any grapples into the sky like last game, and that long of a survive, but already some big damage. This looks to be the team that was maybe poking out against Complexity in there. Charge rifle for Bird and, of course, Snotty.
The charge rifle being the weapon as choice on the player, I believe, who had an Evo shield as well, just trying to charge it up, trying to get some damage down to make sure the lad's going to be fully charged up and as close to red as possible. The extra HP is so vital when it gets down to endgame, when it gets down to those big close range battles between teams. And as we're swapping over here, we can see so many different teams have rotated in now, and with 18 squads left and only 10 seconds left on this second circle, I'm pretty sure that every single team is within the area that they need to be, so I don't expect there to be too much posturing for position. This is where comms is so vital for teams to establish what they want to do in that next step.
Remember, we've been able to see an early set of dominance here from Complexity, able to take down Liquid, and now you can see that there is just a bit of a hold onto a great position, and sometimes you get what you want and you don't look for more. Even though we had mentioned they were going to be kind of thirsting this lobby, there's no need to do so when you can set yourself up for a great position and a great rotation late game. We've still got our second circle, I believe, closing in here, and an opportunity to notice that with 35 seconds left, things are about to get a little bit more tense as we have Scissors and now Madness, Max Long, and Pow Pow rotating as well. These guys have been playing fantastic, Mark, and I think really finding some synergy in these last few OTs.
They have, and shout out to Madness as well. The disappointment was obvious for everyone to see, having not qualified for the first 3 online tournaments that we've had here for Apex Legend in North America. But the good thing is, he's back, right? He's back, and he's put together a roster here who has qualified 2 out of 2 tournaments now. They are making moves forward. They are doing extremely well in scrims as well, and they're certainly a dangerous team to watch out for.
Yeah, when you get that rhythm, it's sometimes the most, effective thing to have. There's just rhythm. Not necessarily that you have any particular strategy, not that you have any, wild way of playing the game, but you just feel confident with everyone listening to calls when you need to rotate and executing on the calls that they're making, as we know how important that can be. Still 18 squads left. We're going to check in over here with another charge rifle, as we've seen this weapon have so much success lately on Team Superior and the likes of these high-level competitors due to that Evo shield, but also just due to the fact that it's the only hit scan weapon in the game aside from the Havoc Select Fire, and it's just so potent when teams are just really perched up there, not moving very much, or if they're moving a lot.
Yeah, perfect for charging up that Evo shield as well. But the only issue that I have is the team that we're watching at the moment, Borton, Joey, and Thugger, is the fact that, you know, this circle's going to be closing at around 1 minute 20. 18 squads remaining. You're looking across the weaponry, a scout and a charge rifle when you're starting to get towards some of those close range battles. It's a little bit of a worry for me because you're going to have to rely on hitting some big shots early on or getting an early advantage with maybe a couple of scout shots and maybe a big shot with a charge rifle to drop a shield before you push. Otherwise, you're going to be in a position where not only do you only kind of have one weapon to work with, but when that's out of ammo and you have to switch over if you don't finish the fight, then that becomes even more difficult for you.
That's such a good point as well. I mean, you look at the abundance of success from range, but when you get into that close range, you're going to have to do something about it. Hopefully you get a quick kill and then swap a few weapons, grab a Peacekeeper or something. I'm Sung, though. He seems pretty content to have that Havoc and the G7. Good, decent poke from range, but also he's going to have a very, very high-level weapon right now in the meta, which is that Havoc energy weapon. So on top of things with their high bullet damage and high rate of fire, as well as big headshot bonuses. But I think when you look at it, that was our first look at a team, Super Lonely, we had just watched with a Caustic. So we do have some Caustic here on set. So far, so good. I mean, still 16 squads left, but it is nice to see North America starting to catch on to the European trends and, you know, adopt a few things. I don't know if we need bangers and mash yet. I don't know if that's what we're going to be starting to use, but I do like the fact that Caustic has made his way all the way to North America.
Hey, we'll keep bangers and mash for as long as you'll give it us. Don't worry about that. It's a beautiful meal, and I will never, ever let anyone talk that down. But you're right. You know, the meta is constantly evolving in Apex Legends, and that's what we love about it, right? Well, a legend that might not have been viable all of a sudden becomes viable with a patch, with the fact that it becomes effective against other legends if he's the only one in the lobby like Caustic does. But now we're going to see NRG coming under quite a lot of fire here and having to back up. And although they've managed to rotate into a fairly safe spot at the moment, and they can get away from the damage that's being done, there's no Watson gen down. Just as I say that, it does get dropped at the last second there by Frex to keep those grenades away, but it's in such a vulnerable position that it's been taken out almost immediately, and now grenades and everything are going to be flying into NRG, and they are pretty much the meat in the sandwich, as Hotstick would say, as that ring comes in. This could be really bad news for them.
Yeah, this is very bad for NRG. Of course, Fishers is the one who's been pushing them as well. And you can see Rocker Apex and Synox, just no fear, jumping into that with Digi threats and wingmans aplenty. That is going to be NRG going down. And it is going to be not too good. And it'll end up being some bread fighting bread now as they finished off the meat. And Crust, Rocker, and Synox, they're just going to be content to play this rock. There's another squad here pushing them, though, so they've got to be careful. Rounded on both sides now. Do they stay here on set? Do they push this? I think they're content to poke for a second, but this could get bad if they start getting pushed on their east side flank.
Yeah, difficult for them because they're going to have to take this battle because of the fact that they're on the quicker side of the circle. You can see you're the furthest away from where that next ring is going to be closing, so they're going to have to move quicker than the team that's trying to hold them out at the moment. But I just want to give a quick shout out to Sanox. Great to see him back in the final here. Great to see him back playing some Apex Legends and putting in big performances as well. Their semi-final result was outstanding. Such a dangerous team, just full of what I would describe as natural talent and scary mechanical skill.
And you could see, despite having such a good moment too, because they ended up pushing NRG, they wasted some resources, got into a worse part in that circle, and now they are getting pushed by the Happy Campers. And so the Happy Campers throw, they lose one, but Scissor, he is still alive, as well as Fury, who fires back and hits a big headshot with the Havoc, which could buy them a little bit of time, and time is all that they need. 3 kills for their name already. 14 squads left as the Watson just tries to fence up that little RV and say, just let us camp for a little bit longer. I know we're supposed to be inside, but don't let this one end. I don't want to go back in. He's going to lose both of his teammates so far to downs, and now on that, Fury's in a bit of a quandary.
Yeah, Fury's in trouble here, and although they're called the Happy Campers, the fact that this RV is such a death zone for them at the moment, maybe not living up to their name, but does manage to get the finish there onto Crust, so at least that's going to be 1 KP on the board for them. And now the only problem is your Watson being the last player alive, unless he can get this res off somehow onto the Gibraltar, is going to make life a little bit more difficult, but he's going to try and stick it, but now come the shots in and going to be forced to back up again, and Ponyhead's just sitting there at the Gibraltar with his res shield up, trying desperately to survive. The only issue is, when that ring closes, he's got to move pretty quickly.
Yeah, 32 seconds left before the ring starts to push. Things getting tense. Fury, we follow along with him. Let's keep seeing what he has to do. Wait, let's switch to Soar Finicky, because of course this is the Caustic team, and they've started to upgrade not only Evo Shield, but with I'm Stung as well. He's got a purple level 4. It's starting to look like a dangerous team as more enemies start to drop. 6, he finds Fury in the kill feed, and so that's the end of that squad. And Soar Finicky and the rest of this gang running the Caustic Super Lonely looking pretty decent here heading into late game, last 10 squads.
Looking pretty good, and just that feeling that you get when you hit that final shot to level up that Evo shield as the ring is going to be closing as well really does make you feel good. But Sung, as we say, the Caustic player is still sat here up on this rock, but they will have to make their way towards that end circle now. Got a pretty long rotation to make. However, the fact that there is still a Caustic alive in the lobby on this team as we are closing in with only 10 squads remaining, more squads that drop, the more effective that Caustic becomes.
And of course, we may check in with them as well. One of the only teams, if not the only team we see running a Caustic in this North American Finals lobby for OT number 5 here at the Apex Legends Global Series. Joey Blackout, B. Borton, and Thugga, Team Superior, sitting in a pretty superior spot right now, but they do have to move, and there's 45 seconds to do so. But they're pretty geared up, Mark, and I think they've got scouts, PKs. They're pretty equipped for this moment, in my opinion. And I think the only team that may be better positioned, if they can make it into the circle, might be Caustic and might be Complexity. We're already sitting where most teams want to go.
I've seen a little bit of posturing between the teams as 25 seconds or so is left on this ring number 5 before we see it close down to what is going to be an extremely tight affair between close quarter battles, PKs, and R9s, I would imagine. And if that Caustic can get there, if Sung can make his way there, if Fearless and his teammate can somehow manage to almost escort him, take his hand, take a hand each and get him close, then they could be in a really good position to cause a ruckus toward this end game. But this truck is going to be valuable real estate. And look at this portal in, but there's a player inside. They need to take him down quickly. He doesn't actually take the portal to get out, but a fantastic portal in to take this strong position. If they can get the Watson ult down, that's going to be huge.
And this is a huge moment for not only Super Lonely, but the Caustic squad and Caustic in North America as well. Let's take a listen in as to what the first Caustic team in NA is talking about in this top 9 situation.
Do not draw attention. Do not draw attention. We don't have an ulti up.
Yo, there's a guy underneath here.
He's pushing us. He's pushing. I got him. Got one.
Nice.
One's down. Come back, James.
Yeah.
Get back. You're good. They're gonna die. He's gonna die.
I need your ult like bad.
I mean, I have 60%.
How many health do you guys have?
Stay alive. I have none. I have no shield cells.
How many
do you
have?
James, play there. James, play on window. Okay. So that you don't. No, back there. Back there. No, back. So
one's in the front of our car. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, that's fine. We're gonna be. Are we in circle? We're in circle at this little corner right here. Okay.
Okay.
I'm at 71%.
I think we get to the last circle, like we are like fucking.
Yeah, I know. We're solid. Just chill. We gotta get.
You guys have any syringes?
This team's already porting. This team in front of us is already porting.
3 syringes right there. They might be getting our top. If they get our top, it's okay. Just let them have it. I'm gonna grab all of that. No, I don't.
He got a res out here.
I mean, how do you feel on set? The conversation was so fluid there, and these guys seem like they really understand what they need to do. Great in-game leading, clear comms. I like what I'm seeing out of Super Lonely.
Yeah, clear comms in pressure positions is the making of teams. And now we're going to see Madness and his squad coming under pressure. They will be eliminated as this circle does move in. But just to go back to what we were talking about very quickly with the Caustic team, I love the fact that they were saying, do not show presence. Do not show presence. Do not engage in fights. Why are they saying that? You can hear it in the comms as well. They didn't have the Watson ult available to get down. If they show presence in that situation, grenades are going to be flying in at them because there's no Watson ult available to suck up those nades and to take that damage away from them. So great macro thinking there, micro thinking in those situations. In a pressure situation, really impressive stuff.
Great stuff. I mean, you look at the long-term play, and this is what these guys have their eyes on. It's the prize. It's not these short things. But that he's going to go down, and that is going to mean Team Superior. They're losing members. They might have all fallen out as well. Complexity are poised to take this one, and it's going to be Stay Naughty with it falling. That's 2 more. Godsent, he's down as well. Could this be just the team with the Caustic inside, or have they gone away somewhere? And they might still be playing that corner. I think it is. Super Lonely still alive on set. And Complexity know that they have them dead to rights. There is no way to get out of that corner without Complexity firing on you. And there it is, Soar Finicky and Umsung just holding out. What do they do from here?
You feel super lonely. If you're the Caustic player right now, you sit in the corner, you live up to your team name. Who are the 3 players you do not want to be standing outside your door knocking? It is Complexity. And that is the reason why, once again, the Game 1 Kings, Complexity, take your game number 1. Superb from them. Amazing. But we've seen this before from Complexity in game number 1. Can they string together a tournament? That's the big question, even with a phenomenal performance there in game 1.
That is going to be the question of the day. Can Complexity carry it along? I'm dying, man. What do you do in that situation? You feel super lonely. I think they were feeling very lonely as well. It's lonely at the top, though. I mean, you talk about the comms and you talk about both teams who found great positioning towards those final circles, and it ended up actually being the two teams that we saw towards the very end. It's great to see Acoustic not only making waves in NA, taking the second place in the first appearance that we've seen in an ALGS official qualifier, but also, again, Complexity having that early, I think, gall to push Liquid to win that fight and then set up so early and just not only know where they need to be, Mark, but it's the execution that they did it flawlessly and they won the game off of that. That is very impressive.
I think the great addition to these broadcasts is the opportunity to bring everyone at home, the team comms, and you can see how much goes into a single decision that does get made between a team. It takes, every team has an IGL, right, who's going to make that final call, but there's a constant flow of conversation between players about what's our next step, what's the step after that, who are we trying to push, what armor do they have, are there Pathfinder teams, so many different pieces of information that they're trying to link together to get the best possible spot towards that end circle. And something I want to just mention on Complexity as well in that end circle as it came down to the last two teams, the timing of their pushes as well as they exit those situations and take advantages when they're there. They never second guess themselves. They're super aggressive. They back themselves in those battles, and yeah, they come out with a win.
Yeah, fantastic rotation again, above and beyond for Complexity. But you got to say, super lonely, although it might have been super lonely in that little corner. Definitely feeling like everyone's got eyes on them for these next couple of games. So we'll see if that ends up changing or if things continue in this direction. Let's send it back over to the analyst desk to break what we saw right now.
Thank you so much. Much appreciated, as always, Onset and Rain Day for a great Game 1 cast. Fall out here joined alongside Hodzic and ready to break down some action in Game number 1. And the Caustic meta survives and thrives a little bit, at least. Get some limelight here in North America. Your thoughts on that here, Hodzic?
Yeah, I mean, really good job by them to get into that RV and to take the opportunity. I believe there was a team holding it, I believe, and they were engaged in a fight, and I think they just kind of swooped in on that because they were on the outskirt. I believe they were on that like really high rock to the west of that position, kind of is looking over everything. And that's one of the advantageous parts about being on really high ground is that you can see everything going on and you can plan your next move accordingly. Great call by them to take that RV, the small window that it was open.
Yep, that's a good call. You can get that bird's eye view with high ground. So not only do you have an opportunity to see where enemies are coming and understand positioning of other teams, you can understand where the ideal position for your rotation is. And when we say rotation for any kind of new viewers or new players out there, we mean your rotation into the next circle. Where are you going to go next to try and survive towards that late game? Well, that rotation ended up being perfect for that squad, super lonely. The Caustic team, as not only were they in a prime position to have a Caustic because they could place canisters and force a close corridors fight, but it also got him a second place finish because the circle ended up in the exact position. Thank goodness for Complexity, just running around like absolute madmen, taking out everyone in their sights. We, of course, caught the final moment in that one as they took down the Caustic squad. It was super little. Let's take a look at that. As again, it was Complexity all day, but we've seen this story before. Complexity goes big in game number 1, high kills and a strong finish. I don't think the kills were as high as we've seen in the past. They saw that, they got eyes, and look at them, immediately backing out and recognizing, hey, we got 3 people here, back out, reset, we know exactly where they are, let's just slow things down quite a bit. And in the end, Complexity did come out on top, Hodzic.
Absolutely. I mean, they pretty much only had to focus they drop in that area, so they really you heard actually early on in the communications when we listened in, you heard the uncertainty, and that's the difference between a Pathfinder and a Gibraltar on your team is you don't really know where the circle is. All you can really do is go off of the Pathfinder teams around you, and you heard that I believe it was Monsoon originally was the one that wanted to move, or I think it was Lou actually that didn't believe the circle ended there, but then they saw that there were I think they mentioned 4 Pathfinder teams around them. And typically if Pathfinder's rotating around you and taking spots around you, that's a good cue to just stay where you are. So they didn't have to move far from their drop zone, but very, very, textbook BR, pushing out with the dome, taking out all the teams at the final circle, and then just killing basically the super lonely who were just ratting in the RV.
Yeah, that's a good call out because honestly, they stayed in that exact same building that we jumped into the listen into to the very end of the game where they finally left and were able to pick up the final kills and come out on top. So a great rotation, a good call out on them. And I got to say, I love the addition of listen-ins. You know, I think both of those listen-ins were great in different ways. We got to see Complexity have a discussion as a Gibraltar team, recognizing they don't have the benefit of the beacon, but they still leveraged the benefit of the beacon through other teams by recognizing, hey, there's 3 or 4 Pathfinders that I've seen on the rotation here or in the area. Guaranteed this is where the next ring is going to be because they recognize those Pathfinders have that intel. This is next level meta. That's like N+1 coming through for Complexity with a smart heads up play right there, recognizing they're in a good spot and maintaining control. And then, of course, on the Caustic side, we heard some interesting things in there listening as well, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Every single time we've done it so far, it's been really productive. I think it's really interesting for the people that don't maybe even watch scrims or don't watch the other pro players, but like to watch this broadcast. I think it's really cool for them to kind of get a listen in on the team communications and see exactly how much decision making goes in it in every single decision, and it's pretty wild. It's a really cool. We caught them at good times as well, so that was definitely good. Looks like we're having some problems. I'll have to fetch Fallout's banner.
Am I with you, bud? You
Absolutely.
got me?
We gotta grab Fallout's banner.
All right, man. Listen, I'll go handle that. I'll see you a little later. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. I'm staying here, man. We're breaking down that last game, man. I had a chance to cast it. You know, I know Fall was talking with you, but how did you feel about that super lonely introduction here with the Caustic? You were the one who said there might be some. I had a feeling you knew about what these guys might do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I at the end of our EU broadcast, I was actually talking about how there might be a different reason why NA starts to pick Caustic. Mm-hmm. The reason I alluded to just something instead of just saying it is because I don't want to start a war because it has to do with different gaming peripherals.
Right.
But what's actually interesting to me is that, and for those that don't know what I mean, Caustic Smoke and Bangalore Smoke actually mess with aim assist. Players don't get aim assist through that. So what's interesting to me is actually that I believe that's a full controller team. I mean, they're all very good with controllers. I'm not implying that, people need aim assist. But they are a full controller team and they're running Caustic. So really bold move on their part. They clearly have a good understanding of the game to understand exactly where that circle is going to end, how to get there, and position themselves accordingly and take home a second place at least.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Complexity, amazing results, and we have those Game 1 results for you here coming up on your screen in just a second. You could look at Complexity just kind of rolling through this lobby as they've done so many times in Game 1. But, Hadzik, what is it about Game 1 that ends up being Complexities? And why has it been that this doesn't continue through games, maybe 2 and 3 are okay, but games 4 and 5 really, where they end up showing up? And also, Super Lonely Godsent making some nice, strong moves here early on.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people play very safe Game 1 because they don't want to get off to a bad start. They want to get as many points on to at least just have a nice little safety cushion. But I think Complexity, I think they literally just go into these games with the mindset of, we don't really care what happens, so we're just going to push everybody. And the difference between them and every other team is they have the ability, the mechanical aim, to back that up. So they come in. I don't think they really care much. Nerves don't really affect them because they don't really care much at this, and it ends up working well every single time. It puts them off to a really good start. I'm curious to see if they can, like I said earlier, if they can actually continue that consistency down the road.
Well, Game 1 was a barn burner. We saw a great start here from Complexity as we take a look at the highlights coming at you from the early part of this game. And, of course, this tournament just kicking off for the North American side of things. We started about an hour ago. Game 1 just finished with Complexity taking the dub. But a lot of moments here and there. We saw NRG get pressured out by Rocker and Sinox. They had their moments to shine from the Fishers, but they ended up getting pushed by the Happy Campers, and this whole chaotic moment, Hadzik, created a lot of opportunity for, I think, other teams like Complexity to have less teams really pushing in with full health and fully equipped gear to really pressure them and I think contest that final circle zone. It seemed like all this chaos really benefited Complexity just staying where they were and capitalizing.
Absolutely. One of the interesting things about Survey Camp, and this kind of lends itself to BRs in general, is the typical mindset in shooting games in general is the high ground is the best ground.
Yep.
But Survey Camp and several other POIs like that have a very interesting dynamic where if the circle ends there, despite the buildings being in a canyon and technically in a really bad fighting position, they're actually really strong because nobody can push your building because everybody around in the surrounding area will look down on you and just shoot you if you're trying to siege any of the buildings. So them being in the center of the circle in a canyon, in a building, basically nobody's pushing that. That house is off limits completely. So it's a very interesting dynamic that's in battle royales, especially once the circle starts to close. Then it gets even more hectic and chaotic. So I mean, they've played that circle many times that way. They land there, so they know exactly what to handle or what to expect with that circle.
Well, these guys, they've definitely played quite a bit, and we could see that even throughout the game. I think the most interesting thing, I had to itch that. I'm sorry, I had to do it. The most interesting thing for me was seeing how the conversation around complexities earlier, question marks of whether it was going to be a survey ending, whether they were wrong, whether they were right. Like, wait, why are there so many pathfinders here? It's kind of like, if it's not going to rain, why are there rain clouds above me? And why am I starting to get wet? It's like one of those things where they said, it is going to rain. And they made the proper precautions, which shows how interesting things are. And you can find out the pros, not even as sure as some may think they are, of where every circle is going to be. If you're finding out stuff like that and you want to comment on it, or you're seeing anything interesting that you noted, make sure to use the hashtag ALGS and tweet at us, whether it's me, whether it's Fallout, whether it's Hodsick. You can go ahead and tweet at us, and of course use @PlayApex if you want to talk to them, or follow them, and stay tuned on YouTube, on Twitter, and of course on Twitch for everything that we do as far as competitive. But yeah, I mean, I think those are really some interesting looks into the competitive mindset for you, looking at those comms and those in-game conversations. What stood out the most?
I guess maybe how, I mean, it doesn't surprise me how much I believe it was Lou that was like, it can't end here. That's crazy. But those circles that end in Refinery, Survey Camp, they tend to do typically a pretty hard pull. So there are some of them that are very obvious that they're going to end there. But that one in particular, I guess maybe I was surprised at how much they second guessed themselves, despite having how many teams have been around them. But that, at the same time, that is the Battle Royale decision-making process. You have a lot of time to consider your next move, and that's exactly what that process looks like on almost every team.
All right, well, it may seem like a bunch of Pathfinders checking beacons and a bunch of people slide hopping into the next zone, but you all know now there's a lot of chaos underneath it and conversation as to what's behind and where they're going with all of those movements. Hodsick, thank you so much for hanging with me in the analyst portion. I got to go find out where Fallout went and see if I can get his banner back for the next round. I'm going to go handle that, and also let's toss to our casters to get Game 2 ready as we kick it off.
Hey, thanks so much, Randy and Hodsick. I do hope Fallout is around here somewhere. It looks like nobody went for the respawn, unfortunately, which is rough. But Jamerson, excited to kick off this game number 2 with you.
Yeah, hopefully his respawn banner hasn't timed out. We'll get him back into this. But already, it's been a great start. Complexity starting off, it's a tale as old as time. Complexity, great game number 1. We'll see what they can do throughout the next 4.
Absolutely a decisive game number 1 from Complexity. They drop a 13-kill first place win. Fantastic to see if you're a Complexity fan. They did not come through their semifinals as convincingly. I believe placing right in the middle of the pack in their semifinal. They also placed 6th in the last online tournament. So like we said, Complexity with a great start, but they will need to back it up with even more victories. Not necessarily victories, but certainly points on the board through game 2 through 5. If you're just joining us here, this is game 2 of 5 for the North American Apex Legends Global Series online event. And Complexity was your game 1 winners. Godsent ends up in 2nd with a 9-kill performance. Super Lonely there does hold 3rd with their 2-kill great early rotate play to net them that top 3 spot.
Now, coming in from the drop, this is actually super interesting because the path of the dropship, it's so far east that a lot of the teams that drop on sites like Drill Site over at Skyhook and Lava Fissure are going to have super late rotations. So they have to really optimize their looting path here to be able to keep up with pace. As we already see on a couple of mini-maps, that there's a fight going on in here in the south, and that's where the circle seems to be heading already.
Yeah, take a look at this, and actually, to our surprise, there's actually going to be Happy Campers finding early aggression here. A tree. That path will go down. It's going to be Scissors there. Tony Head also on the receiving end of the damage as well. It's going to be dangerous for them.
Look at that for the Happy Campers. They will be our first to exit just like that. And I got to say, this is surprising, especially because if you happen to catch the Rogue matches last night, you might have heard Sweet Dreams and the rest of Rogue talking about how THC is a force to be reckoned with, that they are a team that they were certainly looking out for, especially how good Scissors is. But that is an early exit there, and we're starting to see some more early battles in NA, just like we saw in EU.
Lil Poggies taking out Six's squad. Now we got to mention Six. As a player himself, he's made every single finals, but this time around, he hasn't been able to find success here in the finals once again, getting taken out. And this is another team that, we don't get to talk about as often. Force, Promo, and Denials. They're fairly often represented here in the online tournament, but we just don't get to talk about them as much as we'd probably like to.
Absolutely. So almost, a little bit of deja vu all over again here for North America. If you caught our European broadcast earlier today, you noticed that there were 4 teams specifically, 2 dropping on each other throughout all of our 5-game set. Really the first time we've seen that in major Apex Legends play, with teams getting even more territorial with their drops and not being willing to let go of the ego to get off of that drop. Now, surprising to see in game number 2 a little bit more of early aggression, especially to see the 2 teams that we did drop that early. As we'll go ahead and let things slow down just a little bit at drill.
Yeah, we were on board with Team Liquid just beforehand, and we noted that one of the changes to the map was that vault kind of got nerfed there. But Liquid, they're still getting good loot again. They have been privy to a lot of these trains where they drop train yard. They sometimes split over to drill, but fairly frequently they end up getting that train loot. And you can see them coming out with a lot of the good armor.
Actually, also taking a look here, I believe maybe our first look at the trials in ALGS play, if I'm not mistaken here, from loot grabs also going to be happening all the way up north as well. And actually, potentially, we'll see if those 2 teams are aggressive. I was going to say, you are dropping into a hot zone as there is a team waiting for you to drop through that top side. They're protectful here. Just trying to keep things alive with Naughty and GS Bird.
Yeah. They thought they had a good push here, but luckily, they do have, of course, the port to work with. Right now, backing off, and I think we might have seen trials once during EU, but I don't think teams were fighting over. We were just watching someone looting through.
Yeah, certainly the first time that I can remember seeing any engagements all the way there, especially not really a zone that maybe you or I would have picked to see an early engagement, given that drop path as well as kind of where these teams are now headed. But regardless, they will need to head due south to a zone that we've actually seen quite a bit. You and I, Jamerson, were talking about how that survey end is now quite familiar for us in ALGS play, as we've seen it not only a number of times overall throughout these events, but also even saw that very similar ending earlier today in Europe. And now we're headed way south, like to that dome choke. Could sit a little bit north, actually, where we are right now on the map. We'll have to see exactly where things end out as we take a look at the side of Senok.
We've had this ending, I think, once every online tournament for definitely for NA at the very least here, and this is one of the strongest positions to hold. We often see TSM when they're in where they're able to rotate here, but it's going to be, of course, the Fishers taking this spot, taking this truck. All they have to do is maintain good presence on their left, watch their backs on the right. And this is just a spot where you're able to get free KP. That's why you're already seeing Rocker. He's on that G7 Scout right now. If he can land good shots, be able to get some free ones. He's already got one for himself here. But he has to back away as we do have some long-range weapons trying to poke at him.
And Fishers is certainly going to be looking for big points out of game number 2 in case you didn't catch it on the scoreboard. They exited game 1 early on, only getting 3 points and 1 KP total. So right now, of course, so sitting towards the bottom middle of the table and knowing that they need to have a big performance in game number 2, not just for points on the scoreboard, but also for momentum as well. But you have to think Senok, Crust, and Rocker, a squad that could certainly perform well here in OT5.
I respect the move that they made in game number 1. It's game number 1, right? You want to try and start it off a little bit strong there, get a lot of KP, taking that early fight. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for them. But now you're seeing the adjustments being made. They are playing more towards center circle. They're playing a bit more fundamentals here. They're trying to get to the late game, where we all know there's a natural correlation. You get to the late game, the higher you place, the more KP you get. And with a squad that's as deadly as this, once they do get into the late game, I don't question their ability to pick up a lot of KP.
Nacho Dog extending there with the 2x on the G7, trying to just tack a little bit of damage onto a player ballooning, as now it's going to be the WEA side that's moving right along tracks. Very hesitant to drop. They want to hold this track and high ground as long as they can to be able to choose if and when they drop down and hold down any of these buildings here, but they have a much further way to go, so you have to think that if they can, they're going to instead just try to hold tracks and height all the way through this rotation.
Yeah, this is going to be a difficult one for them to try and get through. We have, looks like 2 syringes on Senpai. I don't know how many AK has, but Senpai's going straight for that beacon. Might actually bring Saint back into this. No, he needs to just balloon and balloon. He does have a second med kit, though, so there's a possibility.
Now taking a look once again at Perfect on your screen. They are flying through here. Dome is going to go down, going to peek around the corner. They do see the Wraith TPing away, some extra damage, great break there. Teammates are also pushing up. They should be able to get this. A little bit of a dance back and forth, but the Wraith answers back there with the PK. An excellent shot. Now Nacho Dog is the one who needs to pick up this kill here and goes down. And what a series of events there. That's going to be Stay Naughty, actually, who is now kill leader in the game as well with 3 total kills, gets that last kill on Reach.
This is interesting because we know the team is trailing behind them. There's still a team rotating in through the ring from behind. And so we'll see. This might be some free loot if they are able to get that res, bring him back in. I don't know if I quite heard it there. It doesn't look like they were able to bring him back in quite yet. They're going to take their time to get back in. That's Zoe Senpai and Ak, who we were following just beforehand. On the side of Casper, Knock, and Flanker for Team Liquid here, they're holding an off angle over here at Tree. So a very similar angle to what, similar position to what the Fishers had, right? You've got this RV to work with. You have a lot of space. You're trying to just control the outskirts of the ring right now. A lot of teams rotating in. You've got these long-range weapons, and you just want to try and farm some KP from a safe distance.
Absolutely now. Just trying to, like you said, little poke harass going down from distance. Flanker going to continue to hit shots from the back. We just saw a pretty big play from that Wraith against WEA. That was Stay Naughty with really getting out of jail. I won't say for free because it required quite an effort with that TP and the teammates' help that came from the tracks as well. They're going to live through that and try to fight into the late game. We dropped in the feed as well. We haven't checked in with Rogue. Curious to see how they're doing. He goes down to solo feed a Pride, so we'll keep an eye on that fight. But now, once again, Complexity comfortable here in Dome. We don't see them flying at teams just yet, but we know that that's coming.
Yeah, they had to try to make the best call, especially on this ring here, coming so far from the north. And they have the Gibraltar, so they can play a little bit slower on the rotation right now, making the move over to the north here. This is kind of interesting. If they can actually take control of the of the eastern end, this could work out well for them because a lot of teams are starting to favor kind of playing more towards that choke right now, not so much playing on the outside. That's the nice thing about playing with the Gibraltar here. After getting some decent damage off, though, with this G7 Scout.
That's going to help, of course, as he charges up that next Evo. He's going to continue to land those shots and rack up a little bit more damage as well. They're going to need to make that move west in a little bit, but like you said, they've got plenty of time to do so. Blue on could be some great breaks there, and then you hear that Evo coming in as well. Do see some beacons, by the way, in the obs feed, so it is going to be northern side of that Dome choke that we've been to so many times. That is where the next beacon is indicating, so you're going to expect to see teams get comfortable in the bottom left back corner of Dome. Also a few teams late rotating, likely out of sorting and Tree. If you've watched any amount of ALGS play, you've seen how this one plays out, and potentially going to be some pretty dangerous territory right along the choke itself, as Complexity is now going to go ahead and make a cave move here.
This is a really great call. As you can see there on the minimap, there are still, it looks like 3 teams proper inside Dome proper right now, and Complexity don't want to deal with that at all. We've seen oftentimes on the southern side of that choke that it becomes a fight that's very difficult to win, even if you are in the team in the winning position. A lot of times the teams that push out from the north are able to win out that fight fairly frequently. So far, we got to see TSM do that a number of times during that ring. And so I like this move coming out from Complexity. It looks like Solofide might have the same idea themselves now, as they are starting to make a move.
They're also taking some damage, though. It's going to be Clarity who's forced to bat right away, and now you're instead going to see Metro as well as Pride wondering exactly where those shots came from. They do see it might be coming from the south, and it's going to be Metro who gets melted as well, has to Dome, and going to be forced to pop a whole Phoenix. Barely lives to tell the tale, quarter HP there. And now going to have to wait to see if they can team shot their way out of this Dome area now. Some decent damage, though, coming out of Metro with that Havoc.
right now holding this position, I want to see them try to get a little bit more aggressive on the team to the south, make sure that they clear their back here. That's going to be the biggest threat, I believe, trying to hold this down, as teams are going to be trying to play for some of the ledges here on the southeastern end of this circle right now. Clearing out NRG would be a huge room to breathe for them. Having energy at your back, especially in this iteration of the roster with Nathan and Rex, it's definitely a dangerous prospect to have behind you.
Absolutely, and NRG is a team we have jumping on board with for the first time. We haven't highlighted yet just their road to get here. Their semifinals, if you happen to catch the streams last night, essentially 0 points throughout games 1 and 2 in a 4-game semifinal. And in the end, they were able to comfortably make it into the finals, really stepping up in games 3 and 4, showing that they're able to step up when they need to, as they're going to look to do the same thing here, of course, in the finals. But now back on board with Complexity, it's a very different tale for them. Since the last time we checked in with them, Lou now thirsted, Reptar down, thirsted as well. It's all up to Monsoon.
Yeah, I like the idea coming out from Monsoon there, taking the port and then trying to draw the fire away from Reptar there for a chance to possibly getting back up. But people understand that they need the KP. They're going to make sure they put that down now on board with Stay Naughty, Protectable, and Bird. They're making their move on. I believe this is onto Liquid here. Here comes Stay Naughty pushing forward with that port.
Going to throw that down, going to also clear the fences, and now take a look in the trailer running in. PK does not hit first, second, what does for 4,410 for the next one. Some great work there. One-man show gets damage on 3 players there. Can he get back in the dome? Yes. Also going to arc, but does lose Protectable there. Needs to work together with Bird on this push, and they need to get saved again quickly. They do fly in 110 again on the Wraith, as now Stay Naughty knows he needs to live the kill. Last player alive, no, he will go down. It took them a little bit too long. Jamerson pushing on the outside of the RV. Liquid, I believe, goes down as well. Yes, indeed, that will be Liquid exiting early again, not breaking into top 12.
Yeah, Lil Poggy saw their opportunity there. So much damage was getting done. Stay Naughty, you gotta really commend his efforts there going in. He did fulfill his role perfectly as that Wraith did so much damage. His team just wasn't able to follow up. Looked like a little bit of discomfort playing around the Gibraltar bubbles and also trying to push in to that. But it's gonna be Lil Poggy's coming in, winning out that fight. They're gonna be able to pick up a lot of great loot off of this now. So I like seeing that coming out from Lil Poggies. I believe it was the somebodies who were kind of trailing them before. Remember, they were the team that came in, able to get the res in the ring, and were kind of shadowing the Lil Poggies that entire time. But it looks like the tables got flipped just a little bit there. And so that afforded the opportunity for the Lil Poggies to come up huge.
Contacted target.
And you have to wonder if they were able to get into that RV, especially with the amount of damage, like you said, that Stay Naughty was able to do. You have to think if you got into the RV a little bit faster, we're able to take advantage of some angles, maybe would have avoided that third party, but they'll have a little bit of time to watch this game close out and discuss how they want to approach game number 3. Back on board with NRG, and they are in a world of hurt. Going to need to see, maybe, I'm not sure, we'll have to see if Moore has that dome. Need to be careful as that ult is going to be coming down as well. That will be Frex down. Nathan going to be taking damage here as well. Forced to pop a med. We'll see if he can get that off. Both of his teammates down next to him, taking a look at exactly who that is pushing them. I think that's going to be Thugga and crew, as well as a few other people around here. Great damage out of the 99 from Nathan, and has not been able to get that res. Needs to desperately try to stay alive, angle away, and use these teammates' knockdown shield to make sure that he's able to pop these cells.
Yeah, just turtling up. It looks like a Roman defense coming out from them right now. Philippide is one of the teams involved in this fight. As Joey Black, they're pushing. They're trying to finish him off here.
Look at this play. They are going to push in. Eventually, they will take them down. That will be NRG exiting right there at 11th place, I believe. And in the feed, you're also going to see Bird go down to the side of Solafide. Now, Clarify here working with Pride Metro has been picked up barely. They tries to get a bat, though. No, Clarify will go down. And now things are getting bigger. It's going to be Madness who's now pushing in on Clarify as well.
Yeah, Team Skirt, a team that has a lot to prove. We had mentioned, they were one of the CLG offshoots that just weren't able to qualify for the online. This is their second showing now in a row, and I've been seeing a lot of improvement coming up from this team with the addition of Axon. But we're now back on board with Rocker and crew, and Rocker's down.
Look at Fishers now. Senox needs to be careful. Cross down as well. Needs to play this very, very carefully. No, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that will be Fishers out. You will see them in that dome go down. They will exit at 8th. And this is pure carnage here on these last few very punishing rotations for those teams. 7 squads now remaining.
On board with the McCarthy brothers and BCJ, and this is a scene that we're kind of used to seeing out of, I would say, ex-Fnatic here, where they are a bit more inclined for late rotations here, but now little boggies are here, and they thought they were safe to try and pick up anything off this drop, but they might be in a little bit of trouble.
And looks like they might fly in. They're going to have a little bit of cover. They can afford to push this bubble without getting pushed by the choke too much, so I think they are going to apply pressure. Here comes Dino as well as more enforced spot. They're getting ready to make this push, going to dodge those thermites and get ready for that dome to drop. Once it does, they will be lighting this area up. There it is. Here's the opportunity. Lots of damage coming in. It's sending Muffins as the first one to go down. Expect to see some more in the feed. There they go. Now BCJ, and where is Shiny? Not cleaned up just yet. Now going to be up top, and I think that should be it. Yes, indeed. That is going to be Shiny, so that we will see Shiny, Muffins, BCJ drop. Now 5 squads left. Going to be a very difficult road up this choke as Pow Pow picks up.
Team Superior coming up for that cleanup, but we're talking about Team Skirt now. How Madness will be able to clean up this fight up against Saints and Senpai. 4 squads remaining here. We got that question mark. It looks like Godsense Kubsky is trying to rat it out currently, as Act is also solo in this.
The boys trying to make something happen here. They're putting all their marbles into this basket, and we'll see now Kubsky be pushing up. Several solos left in the 4 squads left. Final late game here. Kubsky just going to try to stay alive and wait it out. Now back on board with Blackout.
Yeah, Thugga, Team Superior picking up Blackout, or excuse me, taking out Axe, so that's going to be huge. Kubsky, he saw the rat, and he was trying to take him out. Now he does have the 3rd place finishing, so at least this rat is successful.
Taking a look, we might have a little bit of time before these last 3 find each other. It's going to be just a moment to breathe. Kubsky, like we said, still ratting here and hoping that he might be able to pick up something in terms of placement or kill points before this one closes out, as we are going to see round 5 close.
Oh, he might actually be in. I was taking a look at one of our observers. Someone had just scraped by him, didn't notice he was playing underneath there. And so there is an opportunity that he can actually get second, might even be able to pick up KP. It's going to be a little bit difficult here as he is playing on the low ground. And we'll see. It's going to be a 3v2v1 to try and close this out. So it's all to the Team Superior to try and set up a good crossfire for this fight.
That's right. It's going to be Superior, Godsent, and Skirt are your last 3 here. But like we said, not all of them in full health. Now still looking at Thugga now firing uphill, but knows he needs to be careful to not let any third-party opportunity, like we said, come in from Kubsky. They, as we said, have not discovered exactly where he is just yet.
Yeah, they have narrowly missed him time and again. They have he's just been hiding behind the block and lower. They haven't spotted him out. Now Kubsky, he just needs to wait. He can start climbing up right now, as the teams need to start making a move here, especially Team Superior. They do not have the zone. So there is a chance for Madness and Pow to try and win out this 2v3, especially if Kubsky comes in and does some damage from behind.
Certainly Kubsky still waiting to pounce. Just playing that low ground for the next 50 seconds until he does need to move. You can bet going to be playing ring edge, and once he, if and only if he hears gunshots or footsteps, will be starting to make a move. Preferably of the 2, it's going to be gunshots now. As we look, by the way, we also have to mention that on the other side, the Madness and Pow Pow right now playing as a squad of 2, like you said, a 3v2v1. Right now, of course, you have to bet the Team Superior has, even though they need to move, they are the team that has to rotate. They certainly have, in one case, the man advantage, and in the other case, the 2-man advantage. Will they see Kubsky down low? They're checking the low ground. Joey Blackout doesn't find him just yet.
He hasn't moved. He hasn't even healed. He's got themselves to work with right now. Joey Blackout taking some damage there, but I like this Pathfinder zipline being set up on top of the dome there to give him an extra angle to try and work with. And still, though, they're doing their due diligence. They're checking their back, and Kubsky gets spotted out. He's going to try and raid for him, try and survive, but he will get taken out, and now it's going to be down to this 3v2.
Here's the push. Can Pow Pow and Madness hold down the 3v2? They're down a man, but will they be able to do this? Pow Pow has to come all the way back and force it back. That could spell disaster for the side of Skirt. Now Joey Blackout pushing up with Thugga. Great damage though. Thugga's the first one to go down here. Now make that a 2v2. Somehow Skirt does it. They even the tides here. Fast heals on both sides.
Yeah, Pow takes big damage, but he had that gold armor, was able to bat right back into this fight. Now it's a 2v2 here. They need to take advantage of this. Pushing forward now. Good crack from Pow.
Take a look here now. Joey Blackout's the first one to go down. Now a 1v1 here. Can Pow Pow close this out? Let's see. Yes, indeed. Pow Pow is able to do it in the end for Skirt. Are you kidding me? What a fantastic ending to our game number 2. And NA, very much like Europe, is delivering here, Jamerson. And somehow, Team Skirt, what a performance from them there. They closed it out in a 2v3. And I think they had everything against them. Not only that, but Team Superior looking pretty good in the way of armor as well. In the end, it's Team Skirt. What a finish.
It was very fortunate that, of course, the target that got cracked initially was the player that had that gold armor, right? So he's able to pop that bat instantly. Yeah. Madness doing a great job of just standing front line with that Wraith, doing a lot of damage and making sure that he's going to be able to cover that and then force them back. And they knew that they had the initiative at that point. They were able to get that knock. They were able to get that trade and just push forward off of that. They played that extremely well. I feel like maybe Team Superior could have tried to be a little bit more aggressive, have the Pathfinder just zip line right on in or grapple right in, kind of play it very aggressive, like almost ICBM style, where you just trade away with him, make sure that Pathfinder goes in with something like a PK, trades for that to bring it down to a 1v2 there, but still great play coming out from both teams.
Definitely, you want to see something maybe a little bit more cohesive. Granted, it was an uphill push. Skirt did have that, not only circle, but they did have the high ground as well. But I can't wait to see the replays there, because keep in mind, Pow Pow also got melted, had to force that bat as well. He was the first one to take the heal, so you even had a damage advantage coming in from Superior as well. But it's a fantastic game number 2 for North America. We picked up right where we left off after game number 1 to get us ready for game number 3, and also take a look, hopefully, at those replays. We're going to go back to the desk. Guys, over to you. Bravo. And Jamerson, thank you so much, gentlemen, and a great game 2 cast. An interesting game 2 finish, as a lot of our heavy hitters and top teams got taken out early. Complexity, we keep talking about it. It's the 3rd time in a row now that they've gone huge in game number 1 with the victory. In the second game, aren't necessarily in contention for a top 3 or top 5 finish. So we'll see if Complexity can try to bounce back. But most importantly, let's give some respect where respect is due. Team Skirt, a.k.a. CLG Madness, his team, with an incredible game number 2. They end up in first. Hodzik, break it down for me.
I mean, that was a crazy 2v3. And I think I believe the way Team Superior played that, I think they assumed it was a full 3-man squad. But Madness's team, him and the duo Pow Pow, they got really lucky getting a high ground circle, basically. So it is, even as a 2v3, it could be tough to push into that, especially if you don't know that it is a 2v3. So really well done. Madness, Pow Pow takes a lot of intro damage, but Madness does a really good job to cover for him, trade and knock off that damage, and then Pow Pow with the gold armor heals that back up, and then now all of a sudden it's a fair 2v2. So insanely well done by those two. And then they just go in and kind of basically clean up the rest of the fight. So really, really well done.
Very well played. I honestly, personally, as someone that came from a competitive round-based shooter background where it was 1 life and you're dead, I love these 2v2 fights, because it's almost like a intense. Whoever gets the kill is going to survive. You're dead. You're out of the game. Game over. Anytime a game ends with a 2v2, a 1v1, a 3v3, kind of a fair fight with 2 teams, no risk of third parties, it's always fun to watch, fun to cast, as we did see in that fair 2v2. Obviously, a gold shield is going to help Pow Pow and co. We did see Skirt come out on top over Team Superior with a 2nd place finish. So we've talked quite a bit about a variety of the teams that are playing in this online tournament final are kind of new to the finals and kind of new to this pressure, this scene, this opportunity. Team Superior, team we haven't seen or talked a whole lot about, as Joey Blackout and co. get 2nd place. But ultimately, it was Skirt, a team that has been here before. Of course, Madness, formerly of CLG. Pow Pow's been here and qualified multiple times. Skirt's going to qualify back-to-back. This time, they take home a victory in game number 2. So a very, very good finish as we're getting the results ready, and hopefully we'll have a chance to show you the results of game 2 and the overall standings as well in this one. Hodzik, outside of the last final fight right there, anything else in that game stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I've noticed this a lot. I don't know if it's curated or what, but the NA tournaments in particular seem to always get those dome endings, in particular by south of that choke. And it's always just a massive bloodbath, because before everybody, the circle, when we first started seeing it when World's Edge was released, the way it played out was everybody would be on the north end, everybody would be taken by surprise by that circle. And now that we've seen it so much, it's a bloodbath to get to the southern end of the circle and make sure you're on it. And you saw NRG was there from the beginning, and they got wiped somewhere down the mid game. So it's a bloodbath. I mean, everyone's fighting for those positions. It's very interesting to see this circle always pop up.
Yeah. As you say that, it looks like the results of Game 2 are ready. Complexity got 25 points in Game 1. Well, Skirt going to take home 21 points with 9 kills in Game number 2. Kind of a well-distributed amount of kills here. Team Superior right behind them with 8 kills, but of course the second place finish is going to put them at 17 points. And Lil Poggies, a team that we've watched time and time again in these online tournaments, a team that is known to play very aggressive, high skill, high kills. They're going to do it again with 12 kills right behind Team Superior with 16 points, and the boys who won their semifinal right after them in 4th place. Let's take a look at the overall standings when it's said and done. Was it enough for Skirt to overtake Complexity is the question, and it looks like it was not, as Complexity is going to hold on here by a 2-point margin in 1st place. But look at that top 5 here. Only a few points separate these top teams. 29 for Complexity, 22 for Little Poggies, all the way down in 5th place. And a bit of a drop to Super Lonely with 14, and somebodies right after that with 13. So an interesting start here. We're missing Rogue, Team Liquid, Shiny Muffins BCJ, former Fnatic, Sola Fide, a lot of teams that we're used to seeing in that top spot instead getting replaced by teams like Godsent, Team Superior, Skirt, etc.
Absolutely. I mean, and it's starting to become a little bit unpredictable, but at the end of the day, because these really strong teams like Complexity started out with a really hot game and then not dropping that great of a game afterwards, it still paves the way for it to be anybody's game. You know, we're going into Game 3, but anybody in the bottom 5, one decent game, 20 plus points, and they're already in the top 5 running. So still anyone's game, absolutely. It's just going to come down to whether or not the current leaders can actually hold their lead.
Yeah, that's the big question. And again, we keep talking about the storyline. We keep teeing it up because guess what? It's a big question mark. Can Complexity hold on? Can Complexity show up in games 3, 4, and 5? We've seen them go big in games 1 and 2. We'll see what they can do. We also see a Caustic team for the first time in North America, at least in a long time. We're seeing a Caustic meta. Well, we had some discussions as well about Caustic from Bearded Flash. He does like seeing himself some Caustic. Before that, he tweeted at me talking about Revenant. We had a bit of a discussion about whether or not we're ever going to see Revenant in competitive Apex. Neil Dickerson, aka Bearded Flash, asked, "Hey, do you think we'll ever see Revenant? I think he's viable with his current kit, especially after the buff." Hodzak, I know you have some opinions here.
I am a Revenant stan, if I'm being completely honest. I actually really like the character. Competitively, I don't think he's quite there yet, but I do think he could be really good in a lineup that plays very strong high ground because his ult favors high ground. You basically get a free W key to push if your team gets reset. You only get dropped to 50 health now, so that means, assuming you all have purple armor, you can do a free push with a combined total of 300 health, and then you come back and you each have another 150 health to go. So, but I think the biggest thing about Revenant in general is his silence now. For those that don't know, it does silence Gibraltar's gun shield, which is the bane of many people's existence. So everyone knows that if Gibraltar doesn't have dome and if he's caught out in the open, he's basically an easy kill. So getting a silence on a Gibraltar, especially one that has his dome up, he's basically a free kill just because of how big he is.
Yeah, I love that tweet from Bearded Flash saying he'd love to see some more team comps other than the 2 mainstays with whether Gibraltar or it's Pathfinder that's used. Will we see some Revenant? Will we see some more Caustic? That is to be determined. Let's go ahead and take a look at the highlights from game number 2, as there were quite a few highlights to call out. As ultimately Skirt did end up on top early game here with THC, the Happy Campers, who have been kind of a mainstay in our grand finals themselves, always competing and playing well. They got caught in a fight over at Tree, and we were kind of talking in the off-air casters chat. Is Tree worth fighting for in 50-50? You gotta wonder.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we saw it in EU as well. Throughout I'm pretty sure every single game, Tree was being contested, and we're seeing it again here. A lot of it is just, at the end of the day, it's not that Tree is anything all that particularly special. At the end of the day, it's just teams that have been practicing drop spots for a very long time, and they want to kind of claim it, make it theirs.
That's exactly right. And that's the reality. I think it was same in EU. Same thing here in NA. There's so many unknown teams that you're not used to scrimming against. You're not used to playing in some of these lobbies of GLL scrims or competitions or the finals because they're here for the first time. And you don't really know where they're going to drop. You don't have that intel on them. So that's going to cause some 50-50s in obscure areas that typically in pro-only lobbies or signed teams only, you're going to have on your own. But it's kind of a question mark as to where people are going to land here in the finals when you're playing against teams that you're not really familiar with.
Absolutely. And that basically leads into the whole adaptation concept of battle royales. BRs are all about adapting. No scenario is ever really the same. Your loot's not going to be the same. Circles aren't going to be the same. So it really comes down to the strong teams that can deal with a team dropping with them, adapt with it, are going to be the ones to come out on top.
Yeah, it's spot on. Well, looks like we're gearing up and getting ready for game number 3. North American finals are underway, and we, of course, want to keep things in game because you all want to watch the gameplay and what goes down. Game number 3 is getting ready, but before we jump in, or as we're jumping in, make sure if you want to have your tweet potentially featured, just in general, tweet at us, at Fallout with 2 T's, and at my man Hodsick here on my right. We are going to be jumping in to game 3 in a moment, but you can use hashtag ALGS. Also, make sure to drop at Play Apex a follow on Twitter, Instagram, you name it. So you can keep up with all things Apex and competitive Apex. It looks like the game is just about ready. And I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to our 2 casters to call the action. We have Rain Day and Onset.
Thank you so much, Fallout. It's exciting to be here again, man. We have Game 3 underway, and a lot of developments in Game 2. We had some our own version of commentary for kind of the end of that, with Joey Blackout and the rest of the squad kind of pushing up that hill. But it was Skirt who took the final win, and now they've put themselves in a great position to be in the top 3 alongside Complexity. What was your takeaway looking at that final circle and Game 2 in general?
A takeaway for me is the fact that the leaderboard now, as we head into game number 3, is kind of flipped a little bit in comparison to game number 1, right? I mean, Complexity is still at the top of the leaderboard, but just by 2 points after that big win there from Skirp. If you look down at the bottom, the surprise is to me, Team Liquid, second bottom at the moment on just 2 points. You have NRG right next to them as well. Rogue with only 3 points on the board. And you might be saying, hey, it's only game 2, but this is game 3 now. There's only 2 more games to come after this. So one more game where they have a similar kind of performance here, and that could be their tournament over as far as becoming a champion's concerned. So they need to have big games right now. And the question for Complexity, once again, that we keep repeating is, yes, you had a very good game 1. Game 2, a little bit shaky, but you're still at the top of the leaderboards. Can you pull out that one more big game to put yourself in pole position to win this tournament?
And these questions will be answered hopefully in game 3 here, because this is where you have to go big or maybe start packing your things. Complexity, as you mentioned, a big game 1, but they fall off, getting in with only 4 points in game 2, and Skirt takes the big win. But Team Superior, Lil Poggies and Godson have a great performance to put themselves in the conversation for top 10 as well. Will we see a new victor in North America? It's looking that way as these teams start to drop down, but of course it's going to be up to Rogue to see if they can back-to-back or if it will be a new champion. We're going to follow along with Liquid here, who have been in the dire straits for the earlier rounds of this game. But as you know, Mark, things can, turn right away. And your luck is definitely not destined based on your last performance. That's one of the beautiful things about a BR. Every game, you start fresh, you start anew. You don't carry that baggage into the next round.
And we've seen how many points can be acquired in just one round of Apex Legends, right? If you were watching the European tournament earlier, you would have saw Alliance fly up the leaderboard with an enormous point total in their final game of the final. So definitely not all said and done as far as this is concerned for those teams that are in striking distance. And looking down the leaderboard at the moment, the difference between first place and last place is 27 points. You can make that in one game if you have a pop-off game and you pick up a lot of KP and you have a good placement. So although, it's one of those situations you don't want to have to find yourself in and kind of putting your back against the wall as time starts to become a factor in the series, it's still doable, right? So everyone who's still in this lobby has an opportunity to really push themselves up the leaderboard with a big game here.
Some very interesting, kind of looks at this circle here, which is going to be on your northwestern side. And we'll see how that starts to pull as teams make their way over to their next location after looting, and they hit those Pathfinder beacons. You see the new Bloodhound Trials area, and if there's one thing that this trial gives you, it is ammo. There is a lot of ammo, and we're actually going to see these guys actually do the Bloodhound Trials in-game for the loot. This is unexpected, but I mean, makes a lot of sense on set, especially if no one's going to get there. You unlock higher stages of loot after each trial, and they're pretty easy to complete.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw it in the last game. You know, Andy called it out. Bravo said that this is something that we haven't seen so far in competitive Apex play, but now we're seeing it game after game. So it's obviously, you know, a smart thing to do. You want to loot yourself up. It's not the most difficult of challenges if you're a professional player. So, hey, why not? Get the loot, make sure that you're fully stacked. And if you lose this one, maybe you don't deserve to be in this final.
Yeah, if these Prowlers get you, man, and they can get you, trust me. I mean, if you try to, you know, do anything janky with these Prowlers, they will test your might. But at the end of the day, I think this is going to be enough for Staynati and the rest of the guys. We'll see how they fare as they come out of that one. It's the Happy Campers here with 0 points in that last game. They died early as they were looting against Far at Tree, and they ended up losing that 1v1, which they had won in game 1. And so now they're going to be on the rotation. 2 white shields to their name. Fury finding himself with a blue level 2. Scouts Havocs seems to be the name of the game so far. We've seen this weapon show up so much more consistently and competitive this season, and you can only expect some changes to be made in Season 5. And that's a really exciting topic of conversation anyways. You know, on set is Liquid getting pushed here a little bit. Casper taking a lot of damage as he falls. This could be bad for Liquid. Casper, he goes down.
Casper is down, and look at this. Team Liquid once again under immense pressure from numerous teams firing down on their positions. They are stuck between a rock and a hard place, and the hard place, well, that's surrounded by lava as well. So they're desperately just trying to survive here, Team Liquid. Only 2 points on the board after 2 games, and they're now down to just 2 players in game number 3. Well, I mean, who would have called this for Team Liquid, right? One of our champions of online tournament number 4. You know, this is going to be very, very difficult for them. Sorry, excuse me, online tournament number 3. It's going to be difficult for them to get back into this tournament as a whole if they cannot get Casper back in the game. And look at this flanker, still coming under so much pressure, and he gets down as well. Nocturnal now, with only a few HP to work with.
And you know they're going to push this. I mean, there's no reason you shouldn't. And they only saw 2 there, and it's already a down on the flanker. Nocturnal's the only hope. And this is starting to get rough. It was Madness and Team Skirt who had pushed them, and this is the question. Where do you go? Do you try to abandon this? Do you grab Banner? I don't think they feel confident making this game without finding Casper and Flanker. So the only hope here is he's going to try to go back and see if he can get Casper. If he can do that, let these teams fight it out. He might be able to have time to go get Flanker before that Banner ends, but he's just trying to stay undercover here while these 2, at this point, Juggernauts, fight above him with way more gear than he is equipped to handle.
Yeah, really bad news if you're a Liquid fan at the moment. Not the start you would have wanted, and certainly not the beginning to a game 3 that you would have expected as well. You kind of expect them to try and bounce back, to try and answer back from the pressure that was on them, but we're seeing more scuffles going down at the moment. So much action going on here at Lava Fissure, and no surprise because of the way that circle is moving, and teams trying to posture for early position, but I love the aggression that we're seeing. It's certainly making an exciting watch for everyone here, and BTJ now is going to eat a Peacekeeper shot, and he's going to get down, but there's one in response as well coming in here from Muffins, and somehow or other they managed to stay alive, but for how long as we see another player pushing?
Yeah, you can see it. Shiny PC from Expensive Agent shows just how far it is, how expensive it is, to mess with those agents themselves. They're going to go ahead and take all the lives, and that is not what you would like to see from Shiny and Muffins BCJ. That squad not having the best of starts as well. And then more chaos continues for Rogue. There's Caustic Gas as well. That's Super Lonely. They're getting into the action on set.
Yeah, Super Lonely again in the action, but that was just a horrible position to be in. Couldn't get in the door. The Caustic's gas came in as well. This is just a horrible position here for Rogue, but look at those shots there from Snipe Down. He's got one of the best aims in all of console history, and you can see exactly why there. A clutch kill is going to buy time, potentially, to get his teammates up and live to fight another day.
And that Dome of Bombardment actually is going to help. Bombardment might just help them buy some time. Finicky trying to hide behind the shield. It's Rogue who have popped out, and Finicky, he's only got a few shots to the name, and that is going to be it. The kill leader now goes back to Rogue. It is dropped. Who is leading the lobby? And it is Soar Finicky and Super Lonely falling yet again here. Rogue having an absolute awesome start, even though the chaos has been ridiculous. And Joey Blackout and the squad coming in from 2nd place as well, doing fantastic. Team Superior until they got B. Borton dropped there, having to now make some adjustments just to stay alive.
This has been a action-packed start to our game number 3. I think that's pretty much the only way we could sum it up. Players being down, battles being won, and kills being exchanged across the board. But I mean, what a play there from Rogue to get out of that situation, which was, it was such a huge uphill battle for them after one of their players, I believe it was Sweet, couldn't get in that door initially, got trapped in a gas, got trapped between everything you possibly could on the map. Snipedown came up with a huge kill, just beamed the player who was trying to push onto to try and finish off that kill, just to buy enough time for Rogue to get back into position and refight. And Rogue, as you say, they live to fight another day here, but it was that one play from Snipedown, in my opinion, that kind of kept them in that fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, great moments from him and great moments from the rest of Rogue. This is the team defending this online tournament in number 4, and this is the team that also has about 2 points right now. So there's question marks, and so far they've answered them in game number 3. Medkits aplenty and a golden havoc on the side of Sweet. You can see complexity there trying to have their moment in the Bloodhound trial, but it does seem that maybe it is a bit redundant. Some of that loot already taken, but a fight is happening up top. That defensive bombardment is there. They're trying to get in on that third party as it is dropping the best party there. The flatline doing what the flatline does best, hitting big and hitting the plenty. Complexity Monsoon, he finds the high ground as well. He's going to drop back towards his team. They can always go down if they want a little bit more defensive positioning on set. It seems like they're just going to play this one slow. They have the advantage, but Monsoon getting pushed, big 110, but he goes into the void.
And I love how they set up this push here, Complexity as well, but now they're going to have to retreat and smartly back down, and maybe that's something that could have been held against them previously, right? They love to get aggressive, they love to push, but sometimes a little bit overzealous in those kind of situations. But just to quickly just reel back a few moments before that fight actually started, the use of all of the abilities of the different legends to set up that push, to put them in position to even start that fight, has to be commended. They threw the Gibby ult down to clear the space, they threw the bobble as soon as they hit the top of the zip line as well, so they put themselves in a position to at least take that fight. And again, it just shows how Complexity wants to be aggressive. They want to take fights, and they're not afraid to try and, establish some presence on the map and execute pushes that maybe other teams wouldn't try.
Big moment for them, as, of course, these guys are the ones who we talk about having a great start and fizzling out. They've had a good start in game 1. They've stayed at the top with game 2, but that lead is closing, and it is only a couple of points now. A big performance here in game 3 would be huge. But we've also seen another team that has kind of been expected to perform well in Rogue, having that golden havoc, setting up early wins. They find another kill on a B Borton as well. That's Team Superior. And so this is looking good for Rogue. We're not following along with them. This is the team they've been fighting, but that knock did come from, I believe, dropped. And so they are in a decent position here to see if they can push these kills.
And just to touch on what you're mentioning there with Rogue sort of picking up kills and backing down loads of players, it's amazing what it will do for your team's confidence, even after a lax first couple of games, just winning one big fight. It just reminds you of how good you are, how you got to this position, and all of a sudden it gives you that little extra oomph that you might need in a battle to be confident with your shots, to take on those fights. And Rogue is showing it right now as they still have good position with 15 squads remaining, and around a minute or so until round 2, the ring will close.
52 seconds to be exact. Snipedown, Rogue, Sweet, and dropped. This team formed as Snipedown continues to kind of find different teammates. He's played with so many different people, from Android Dream to DCJ, and obviously he's played even with some of the old school G2 guys over at the X Games at the very start of as well, but he's always had one thing in common. It is success and performance, and that's what we can expect from Snipedown, any squad that he's on. Great comms, great decision-making, and obviously great aim. And taking up the Watson, not his typical role, but he is going to do fantastic for this squad here, as you can see, allowing Sweet and Drop to play their kind of bread and butters. And so far, they're looking good here as this round 2 circle about to close, and no one pressuring them after that early chaos.
And now we're going to see the rotation in here from Fishers as well, and they're going to be within the circle, but they're going to be playing under the bridge. And finally, after what does seem like a insane, crazy start to this game, we have a little moment break to just see where everyone is posturing and where everyone is set up. You can see a hard pull towards the north side of this circle as well. That means that Rogue are going to have to rotate into that circle as well. And if you're looking at real estate here, to be honest, Rainday, not a lot to be taken.
No, and that's question mark here. You pretty early game, but late game is when it all matters. And right now you can see Shiny PC, he's got a lot of real estate being questioned at this moment. Huge Gorilla looking to maybe take a little bit of space and build some opportunities for his team to push out of. As he sees the Wraith, she sets the portal, and he's going to go into the Void. That's 35 seconds now. He cannot use that ability, and so he is going to have to sit tight. Maybe someone else will have to push. Shiny PC now peeks out. A little bit of R99, PK in the back pocket for Huge Gorilla in case they get pushed. But 3 gold shields on set. This is one of the deadliest loadouts I think anybody can have in high-level Apex.
I mean, we were talking about Alliance earlier. We were saying these guys are stacked. I've not seen a team this stacked in, in competitive play. It's usually you see these things shared out until those final moments. But 3 gold shields, you can do what you want on the map. You can get aggressive. You can push people because of that fast healing ability. So they're in a great spot right now. And I mean, huge credit here to Rogue. Look at where they managed to rotate to, and you can already see the pings going out as well about the next position they want to try and rotate to. And we can't emphasize enough, even though you've made a move, you have to be thinking 2 steps ahead, 3 steps ahead in Apex Legends, and that's where your IGL is so vital to your team.
Still a little bit of time here before the circle starts to push in, but it will force these teams into a conversation. That conversation most likely not going to end with just words, as the scout's already aimed up for Birdman, and of course Mirror Pro. He sees it. No Evo shields on point, so he's got to level that up somehow, and this poke damage isn't going to do well for his defensive capabilities, but it will deplete some of the resources across the way and maybe buy them some time. They are in zone, and they are holding down one of these buildings. Everyone playing a patient game on set, because I think there's just a tricky terrain to navigate here. There's moments of complete safety in these buildings, and then there's moments of I have nowhere to go, and I'm getting shot at by 5 teams until I get to that next moment of safety. So I think that's why we're seeing a little bit of hesitancy to really venture out and rotate too early.
Plus, the last thing you really want to be doing is taking the low ground, right? Because it's so difficult to get back up on top, especially if you aren't playing a Pathfinder. If you've got a Gibraltar on your team, some of these teams who are on the outside of this circle at the moment might just be thinking, we're going to wait and see if a team makes a push. We're going to see if they get aggressive, and then, like Hodzik likes to say, the hermit crab effect, right? We're going to take their shell when they leave it. So it's kind of that Wraith doing that scouting work, poking out, using that ability to get back and jumping into the void and take a little bit of damage to see where those spots are available. Try and take advantage as soon as it becomes an advantage to be taken.
And now WEA, or we, as we look at them, holding down drill site right around the bend. They have actually a pretty decent bit of space between the teams so far, so they don't look to be in any immediate levels of aggression, at least for a couple of minutes, unless they try to get engaged. But there are some fightings. You can hear the poking over towards that north side. Twitch, Ella, and Far. These guys have been contesting tree, and they actually won it this round against Happy Campers. Actually, they split it this round against Happy Campers because they did not want to get into one of those again. But now Godsent, you saw him ratting to the best of the abilities last round. He says, no need to rat here. I've got a gold shield. I can make myself known, but let's play it safe still.
Let's play this way.
And Kupski with the gold armor as well, and looking pretty good as far as ammo is concerned, and as far as mags, etc. They can take a fight should they need to, and it looks like they will need to take a fight pretty soon as they rotate towards that circle, with round 4 ending in around 1 minute and 10 seconds. While they make this, let's jump into the comms with Godsend. We haven't had an opportunity to hear much from them. Let's see what they're doing with their next move.
Cracked one. Cracked over here.
They're not much of a threat. Keep this.
I know.
Okay.
No, that's good what you're doing. They're fighting right here.
We need to watch trials.
Theying right here.
Try to see if I can get a picture.
Fence that down there if you can.
Where?
They're walking up.
Corner?
They're walking up on you.
Yeah, they're walking up there.
Oh shit! Careful, I am.
I'm good.
Don't overextend here.
Team.
It's gonna be trials team. If we can get them to play that rock without pushing us, we'll be golden. We need them to play that without pushing us. If they int us, then we're both fucked.
They're trying to get damage now. So
we
guys,
just play this cubby.
Right here. Push this. Don't let him in.
Nade him.
Yeah, don't let him in.
Oh, I'm getting griefed. It's another team, I think.
No, same team.
I fenced the portal. I fenced portal.
They're gonna push from here.
Yeah, I know.
We play cubby and gate.
Careful from above. They're also gonna come down soon.
Watch the portal. It's gated.
They're going wide. We're fine. Just focus this team.
Okay.
I am.
Hey, keep half team. Our flank is fine.
They're right here.
Play this cubby.
Wait, there's two teams.
Right there.
Right.
I don't have an angle on anybody right now. Oh, I see my team. They're gonna die here. They're gonna die. They're queuing or porting? Ported.
On it. Right here. Hello team. Nade him.
Watch crack. I don't have nades.
Fight this team. Come here. Come to me.
I'm coming.
Wait.
Easy 3 kills. Come to me.
I'm sitting on both.
Right here. Come here.
Okay.
I have an easy
Don't go too
flank
hard.
here.
Don't go too hard.
I'm watching our back. It's just you two.
I'm getting shot.
I'm watching behind.
It's two.
I have to go back.
Help me.
I'm 1 HP. I'm 1 HP, Cub. I can't go.
Cub, don't go too hard. Don't go too hard. Okay, swap.
Go. 3 kills.
Swap.
I'm good now. Destroy the ult. Toss nades.
Raid, one right here. Got him. Go.
That's all.
Watch our back.
I got a backpack.
And you can see it come really calling for the aggressive plays, and his teammates trying to hold him back there. Ambino and Hierarchy just saying, hold it down, young fella. We can get the kills. We just don't want to lose you in the process. Great stuff there from Godson, and the listening on set is contagious action. They're pushing Sola Fide as well as they just try to crawl the safety. More knockdown shield trying to protect the only last member, which is Clarifi, who's on a kill right now. 9 squads left. Boy, oh boy, Godson really playing patiently, but playing well.
Yeah, playing patiently, but knowing when to put their foot on the accelerator when they have the opportunity to push kills. And here is another example of that. However, a little bit of a stun there will only be a momentary problem as they pick up yet more KP. So that's a huge push there from Godsent, and a perfect opportunity on the listening as well to see how they formulated that push. But one thing I would say from Godsent there, you could see the nerves, right? You could hear the communication being a little bit, do we want to go? Do we not want to go? But I love the fact that they finally committed to it and it paid off.
And that's what we talk about. All of these plans, we can see they could have made 7 different decisions there, but when they decided to do something, they did it. And that's what made all of the difference. They committed to something. And Madness here, he's committing to the EVA 8, and that's doing a lot of work right there. Big kill for him on the Joey Blackout. A little bit of deja vu from the last round as well from Team Superior. And they look to be heading out. 5 squads left. The Shiny PC bleeds out on the side. It's Madness looking for a repeat in these lobbies on set, and this would be huge for them as they are fighting against Godson for the top spot.
So here we go. Every team has a little bit of a position here. Madness and Skirt, his teammates are going to be pushed here, so they're going to have to hit the big PK shot, but they're not going to come in right now. Madness pushes out with the Eva 8 and tries to finish off this kill, and does get the down, and that's huge. Not only because of the fact that it's a KP, potentially, if they can keep staying alive. Madness, by the way, doing so much work, allowing his teammate to get shielding back, but it means they are going to create space. They can hopefully get the res as well. Big plays here from Team Skirt. Madness and the boys doing a great job.
And they know there's still a couple more. It's probably looking like Madness and the squad of Skirt setting up for yet another win. It's going to be 3 squads left, as that is 6 falling to the Thermite, the new kill leader. And well-deserved. Madness and the squad Skirt have been showing how much they want this, how much they can persevere, and it's starting to add up into points and wins here. Can they do it again? They'll have to get through Godson, who we saw earlier on, showing some great performances, and now they're climbing up the Peacekeeper.
Oh, big drop for the PK as well. The bubble fight will be going down, and this might be the opportunity for Madness and Team Skirt to push in and try and get the third party. Here they come. They come flying in, but Godsent were ready. But were they ready enough? Did they have the time to back down? It doesn't look like it could be Madness, who's going to get the final shot with the PK. And back-to-back wins here from Team Skirt. Huge performance from them. I tell you what, Madness and the boys, Madness is back.
It is absolute madness. He is a mad lad, as you might say. I said I'm trying to, get a little bit of language over on my side, a little bit of, the slang, so that I can, hang with my boy. And you know what? That was no joke. These guys are performing at such a high level. And you look at, I think, not only the way that they set themselves up to patiently but consistently move in and deal with any threat that showed up, but I have to give credit to Godsent, who made it to that position as well. Having that listening, giving the perspective of how, they were a little bit more chaotic. We didn't get this chance to listen to Madness and those comms. Hopefully we do next game. But even through the chaos, found a way to be consistent, to trust one another, to push with Kubski. Really great stuff from both of those teams, who now, alongside Complexity, find themselves in the top 3 and maybe now overtaking the top 2 positions.
Yeah, I mean, the Team Skirt, but now they're Skirt, right? Back to back, that's what they do. So that's all I can say on that. I think what we'll do, though, is we'll actually go back to the analysts for now while we're having a little bit of fun over here and let them have some fun themselves. Or we won't. Who knows?
Thank you, guys. We're getting a little stir crazy here, having way too much fun. Thank you, Onset and Rain Day. Much appreciated for a great call and what was a great game number 3. Fallout here joined back and alongside Hodzik to break down the action and what we saw. It's hard to get on your level of the amount of fun that's being had between that casting duo right now, Hodzik, but I think we can try our best.
Absolutely. I mean, we had a bit of a blunder, but like I said, we got you rezzed up and ready to go, looted up again. So I think we can pull it off.
Thank you for the cover. We've had all sorts of revives come through, all sorts of teamwork that's been happening, and just in the casters situation alone, let alone everything that the players are doing and that the teams are doing. So let's go ahead and jump in and break down some of the gameplay as we're getting the final moment ready for you guys. You can see the action, how that final moment took place as well. In the end, it was Skirt who came out on top with the victory again. Back-to-back victories. We haven't seen that in quite some time. Didn't see it in all of Europe finals, and I don't think we saw it in much of online tournament number 4. Here's that kind of late play, of course, running with Pathfinder, opting for that Pathfinder meta and proving that Pathfinder meta is too strong. They ended up on top with another victory here, was Team Skirt.
Absolutely. I mean, it's incredible feat to in 5 games at this level to be able to even pull off 2 wins, let alone 2 back-to-back wins. That you can tell that they're feeling the high right now. They're feeling that adrenaline, and they're playing really smart. You could see it actually. I'm not sure if we have it, but for example, in that last circle when people started piling in from Lava Fissure on their end, they had a beautiful crossfire set out. Their positioning was fantastic. All they had to do was gun down from every single angle, every team coming in, and that netted them a lot of kill points. Then I believe God sent basically sending on that last team, which basically gave Skirt the bread, if you will. And then they just come in and wipe in and clean up.
Yeah, and that was a smart decision by Skirt to recognize, hey, they had just fought that, and we can push this third party before they can heal it, before they can reset. Skirt with the ultimate aggression did come out on top in that last fight, but there was a lot that went well with Godsend. And again, we keep hitting these money listen-ins. It was awesome to see their insight in that fight. We saw a lot of aggression from Kubsky. We heard Onset kind of break it down and say you can almost feel or hear the nerves, but they're dealing with it well as they got so many kills that game. Walk me through that listen-in and what was going on in the comms of the Godsend squad as Kubsky kind of was seemingly pushing by himself.
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of like the confidence that Wraith players have in general. I mean, everybody's guilty of trying to call the Wraith back while they're healing and stuff. You know, you don't. Sometimes Wraith players can get ahead of themselves, and put themselves in an unfavorable position. But sometimes you just have to trust them. I mean, even though they were screaming for Kubsky to come back there, like he was in no immediate danger. In fact, he was the aggressor there. I think he farmed an easy knock on a third party, and he didn't even take any return fires. So sometimes as the Wraith, you just got to stop listening to the voices in your head, if you will.
Especially when you are playing Wraith and you can do what Kubsky did. And the little Cub kind of venturing off on his own, but Kubsky did go massive, not so little anymore. He was a bear as he destroyed 3 members in front of him. Great flank, great call out, great vision that he had to recognize, hey, we could take these 3 easy kills. And he ended up killing almost all 3 of them by himself. And as a result, let's see where that lands his squad. Godsend in the overall standings, or in the game 3 standings, and then followed by the overall standings. Of course, Skirt with another massive game, 24 points. That's a back-to-back 20-plus game for Skirt, and they were a couple points behind Complexity. Well, they're certainly well ahead of Complexity now. Godsend in second place with 16 points, 7 kills, the aggression for Godsend. And you just look at this list here, the story again for Game 3 is where are our teams to watch? Where's Complexity? Where's Team Liquid? Where's Rogue? We'll see where they are in the overall standings, but an interesting shakeup here, Hodzik.
I mean, just look at the top 3. The only top 3 are double-digit scores. Top 5 here is 7 points. I mean, this looks like a typical NA game right here. So this is kind of what I expected a little bit. Especially now we see Skirt at the top there, followed by Godsend. I mean, that's just, I'm surprised with how, with Skirt pulling out double wins, just how close Godsend really is. That goes to show how consistently strong they're playing, so hats off to them as well. Complexity's still in third, though. It's not out of their reach yet.
Yeah, that's for sure. Complexity's definitely still in the running, and we know they can pop off any game, any moment. And again, keep talking about that same storyline. Game 1, Complexity comes out strong, but how can they finish? How will they do here in games number 4 and 5? Can they represent the teams to watch list? Because not many other teams seem to be representing incredibly well. Really, a lot of our teams to watch, Team Liquid, Rogue, Fishers, not in that top 5, and they're obviously going to have to go make a monumental effort to come back in games 4 and 5. But Complexity might be able to hold it down for the COL squad. One team in particular that was kind of a key storyline coming into this one was Rogue. We know how well they did in the last online tournament. They were just the 3rd team in North America to win a championship behind TSM and, of course, Team Liquid. And the impact of Snipe down to this roster is almost hard to be understated. He has made a huge impact on this squad. They won an online tournament in between this one and the last, and they won the last online tournament number 4. Let's go ahead and take a look as we had a chance to catch up with Sniped_Down and learn a little bit more about his history and his involvement in competitive Apex.
A lot of people are going to say I'm slimy solely because I play on controller. If I kill you and you blame aim assist every single time, then I'm going to let you keep blaming it, because at the end of the day, I'm beating you.
Yo, aim assist is not broken, but I got gold stabilizers right here.
My name is Eric Rona. I go by Sniped_Down, and I'm a professional Apex Legends player for Team Rogue.
Sniped_Down in the EG squad, smell blood as they have 49 kills.
I started playing Halo in 2002, fell in love with the game very quickly, turned professional in 2008 at my very first tournament, and I've been in love with professional gaming ever since. I've always wanted to keep improving, and I think that's why I'm still here today, 13 years later. I'd say I'm most known for being a controller player. That is pretty rare in this scene. I feel like in up-close situations, just that little bit of extra stability I have on the joysticks. You know, once I'm zoomed in, I don't really have to touch my joystick as much due to the fact that I have more control. I would describe my personality in gaming as a very aggressive playstyle, and I'm always, looking for what the best position is, so I don't like sitting back and watching other teams make plays that I think that we can do.
Got them all, baby.
Although my favorite character is Wraith, I have switched up to a Wattson main now for Team Rogue, because as an aggressive playstyle, sometimes I get overly aggressive and sometimes I make plays that can hurt the team. With Wattson, I feel like I have a little more of a chain on me. I just recently joined Team Rogue with Sweet Dreams and Dropped. I've really been looking for a team that I can call home. I'm going to come onto this team. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make it work with them, to make them feel comfortable, make myself feel comfortable. Sweet Dreams and Dropped have played together since the game came out. I have been more of a lone wolf my entire career, dating back to early Halo days. We always knew from the moment that this team was formed that we were a championship quality team. We played in 5 days of scrims. In each of those days, I believe we ended up in 2nd, 1st, 3rd, 5th, and 1st. Just with those results alone, we knew going into this online tournament that we had a very, very solid chance of doing well, placing in the top, and even winning the tournament.
We're going to see Sniped_Down in the kill feed, already instant chemistry.
For Online Tournament 4, we started off extremely strong. Throughout the tournament, we were only not in first place for 1 round. Going into the finals, we were 3 points ahead of both Solified and TSM, and as soon as we saw TSM get knocked out of the tournament, we knew exactly where they were at, and as soon as I saw the post-game statistics, I started freaking out. I was screaming at the top of my lungs.
Look right now, the game's over. TSM only 1 kill, boy! What? Let's go, baby!
It was a great feeling that I was proud to share with the team. Being a top team in North America is very humbling for me as an individual due to the fact that I have such a history in arena shooters. For me to come from Halo, to come to a completely new style of game, and to win a tournament is super incredible. I want teams to realize that wherever we are on the map, I want them to think of us the same way they think of TSM. I would love to instill fear into my opponents and make them know that every time they run into us, that they're going to have their work cut out for them.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
What a profile and what an amazing insight into the career, the entirety of his career, dating back to Halo. And then, of course, his most recent career in Apex Legends as a top player, a legendary player in his own right. And a massive, massive shout out goes out to Sniped_Down, who I've been watching personally for 13 years since he started bursting onto the scene in MLG 2007 back in Halo 3. Amazing to see his career progress and amazing to see him take that next step in his career to Apex Legends. And of course, it's also his birthday. We have a very, very special day for Sniped_Down and a very special happy birthday to Eric Rona himself, not only from the entire broadcast team, but also from folks on Twitter. Mike Dillon VA on Twitter said, happy birthday to the person I've watched the longest in esports, Sniped_Down. Hope it's a good one, homie. Keep chasing the bag. Can't wait for you guys to go nuts in the finals. We'll see what Sniped_Down can do here going into game 4 and 5. Their backs against the wall. They're going to have to go absolutely insane, not just nuts, to try and secure themselves a top 3 finish or even a potential first place finish. Can be difficult to do. But happy birthday nonetheless to Sniped_Down himself. And jumping back to the gameplay in the tournament a little bit, we have a bit of a correction to the game 3 results. We want to flash them on screen again to mention that Solifide has not just 5 points, but 6 points in overall in terms of game 3 results. So take a look here and show y'all the Game 3 results. Solafita did end up with 6 points based on placement and kills, and we want to make sure to stand corrected for any Solafide fans out there. We know they've gained some fans. If they've been kind of the dark horse early on in Online Tournament 2, 3, and then obviously Online Tournament 4 really cemented themselves as a top team, especially coming into Online Tournament number 5. So sorry for the error there, and we are back on track, and we're getting ready for game number 4. Hodzik, jumping back to it, what are your predictions here going into game 4?
It's still impressive to see a lot of it's impressive to see Madness's team get 2 back-to-back wins. If I were them, I would certainly be looking to just play consistent. But knowing Madness, he's probably, I know he's still going to be playing for that win no matter what, which you always should be. But I'm looking to see just consistency out of any of the top 3 teams. They don't have to put up another nuts game. They just have to make sure the other teams in the top 3 don't put up a good game, and they just get some points on the board as well. So I'm not looking for anything too crazy, but it is a very the NA region in general tends to be very crazy. But we'll see if Madness can carry that momentum into the 4th game. Sorry.
Yeah, well said. If you're a fan of the Dark Horse story and, really the Titans falling, you're loving the gameplay so far. Will we see for the very first time a brand new finish? Make sure to tweet us your thoughts, hashtag ALGS. And of course, follow at PlayApex on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, elsewhere, Twitch, YouTube, you name it. Tweet at us as well, at Fallout with 2 T's, at Hodzik. Would love to see your thoughts. I've had some great discussions on Twitter, and thank you all. Thank you to everyone that has been tweeting and engaging. And of course, thank you to everyone for tuning in and supporting competitive Apex. We are getting ready for game number 4. Looks like the casters are ready. And to call the action, we got Bravo and Jamerson. Take it away, gentlemen.
Thanks so much, Fallout and Hodzik. We are ready indeed, Bravo, alongside Jamerson, to get you ready for game number 4. Only 2 games left here for our North American Finals for the Apex Legends Global Series, and teams are dropping in right now. And Jamerson, what a lead we have from the side of Skirt and Godsend, really pulling away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, definitely a very top-heavy field at this point. Skirt getting 2 victories in a row, but Godson also playing very consistent, taking a 3rd place, another 3rd place, and then a 2nd place. Really gobbling up a lot of the points there, not leaving much else for everyone here. Again, we are on board, starting off with THC, who have been taking this 50-50 down at Tree.
Let's go ahead and see. You already hear shots, so likely that's going to be the case as well. Scissors, who we talked about, having certainly a respect of his peers. We're talking about the Rogue Boys, talking about just how much of THC is a force to be reckoned with. We'll see. They right now have this back height, this southern height in Tree, and as you can see, they're being a little bit more hesitant to get into the mid. But right as I say that, Scissors is going to grapple right in. It looks like they might have forced their opponents a little bit further toward the border.
Yeah, they were no longer contesting the middle area of Tree now, and there was a clear 50-50 split where THC was taking that back end, like you had mentioned, while WEA were taking the low ground here. And so they're trying their best to try to come up with any kind of damage here, but it doesn't look like they found an opening quite yet. I'm surprised that they've given up this high ground so readily, though, while their opponents are still here.
Absolutely. Now going to be also scouting these buildings, and it looks like based on Scissors' movement that either the WEA hasn't gone across the low ground. Yes, indeed, they hope to find them here. So now Scissors does have that height for a moment, and with that damage, they might look to make a push here. Check the doorway, get some more damage as well, but now it looks like that is going to be a PK that's coming out. Scissors need to be very careful here. Still taking this battle from the rooftop, though. A little bit of trades coming in from both sides.
Yeah, they traded 1-for-1 at this point, though. And it's not too bad, whichever team loses this fight, because there are respawn beacons close by, but will any team come in? That's a huge PK coming in from Ella.
Ella, nice job there. Makes quick work of putting that back on board here. We'll see if Napoli can win this battle as well against Fury. Going to be able to do it. That's going to be far, and they will win this one here at Tree, and the Tree battle continues. And like I said, when it rings, it pours here. This is the first time we've seen consistent aggression from matching teams on the same drop in both Europe and North America. Very rare sight. You happen to be new to the broadcast. But now, speaking of a rare sight, it's complexity dropping as low as they have throughout this one. We talked about how they often start with such strong performances in those early games, and now they find themselves they're in 3rd place. However, a 20-point delta between them and Skirt right now in game number 4.
Yeah, they've only been able to pick up about 6 points in the last 2 games, and this is very reminiscent of their last 2 online tournament runs. They still have an opportunity. Even though they are 20 points behind Skirt, they have 2 games where they can try and run this back, and I want to see if they can really do that and kind of break the complexity curse.
Absolutely. You have to wonder. There's teams, certainly complexity is going to be towards the higher end of the table, and as we look at teams that we more consistently see within that top 10 and even top 5. On the bottom, though, we have to point out, just in case tuning in here for the final game for North America and you're wondering where the likes of Fisher's Rogue, NRG, and Team Liquid are all on the bottom side of the standings right now. And specifically NRG and Liquid tied for last place, only 2 points to their name. Very rough tournament so far. 2 games, though, to change at least that story. Perhaps not jump into the top 5, but exit online tournament number 5 with a very different story, maybe a tiny bit more momentum as they get ready for more online play. And now taking a look at Tangusaw, a Bird getting the res.
Yeah, they do lose Mir Pro here over at Overlook. There is an opportunity if they can try and get over to that respawn beacon now, as it seems like multiple teams are fighting here as the ring is pulling over to the northeastern side of the map, but a little bit more towards Overlook here. So I'm understanding why they are. So many teams here already that have made this rotation early on, as the ring has only been closing for about 30 seconds now.
Absolutely, some early rotations coming in there, and you expect all of these buildings here at Overlook to go very quickly. They'll take a look at the kill feed, and that's going to be Ack, and that means it's going to be the boys who were going down there to the side of Complexity. They're going to add a little bit more to the board as well. NRG now running triple blues as they're going to look to make their move a little bit closer into Overlook as well. Trex checking his back, making sure no one's coming in from those clips, from Compound, and that's to make sure they have an easier route to Overlook. When you want to look at the damage coming out of Nathan with that, having huge shots. Now more might make the push here. Nathan going to fly right in. That's the way, not wasting time either. And they're going to pick up a few extra kills there.
Yeah, that's 2 of Team Liquid at the very least here. I don't know if they completely wipe them at this point. Flanker going down, that is going to be it. So, again, Liquid just not able to find good footing here in these games.
Nocturnal's still in, though. Nocturnal's still in on Overlook Tunnel. Low ground, right now being the solo Wraith here on Purple Armor. So we'll have to see what he's going to be able to do, but staying on board with NRG as they're going to continue to close down on Compound. Got to say, a heads-up play to them, head on the swivel as they were about to make that Overlook push, but off rec continually checking the back to the south, to the west, and they do see teams still trying to rotate from Crate's Compound into these, what used to be the Capital Eastern outskirts, but now we'll call them the Prague Eastern outskirts, as they're now Nathan and crew maybe thinking about heading back up the hill and back into Overlook to now finally play for that rotation. By the way, great shout out to our observing team. I want to first of all give a huge shout out to all of our observing team and production team. It is a 30+ person crew, all working from home to make this possible in a remote broadcast. It's an incredible feat that we're lucky to be a part of. Switch over here to Nocturnal for just a moment to see exactly where he's ratting out in the RV, but now also taking a look at the first. This is your first place team here in game number 4.
Yeah, they've got that 10-point lead over Team Godson right now, a 20-point lead over Complexity here. But it's not time, of course, to rest upon your laurels. We saw during the EU Finals, Alliance making that kind of miracle run in game number 5, putting up so many points. I think it was 18 or 19 kills along with the win there. And so you do need to make sure that you close out these last 2 games. Now on board with 6 Scurry and Bowsers. They're playing more of the northern side of the map, closer towards Refinery here. Now, of course, they don't have the luxury of having the Pathfinder, so they don't know exactly where this next circle is pulling. The circle does pull south, closer towards Overlook here, but they are kind of riding the line, playing on the outpost over here at Refinery.
Absolutely want to give once again, but here's Complexity now getting ready to make that push, and Monsoon's PK is out, getting ready to bust the door down now, flies right in, first shot hits for 33, door gets ripped down. Now Lou also knows he has to avoid this ult, so they're going to pause forward just a second. Reptar going to sit back with that Devo, hope to get P7 out, hope to charge that up. That here comes from Monsoon as well, and that push is thwarted for just a moment, but they are not done yet.
Luckily for them, this is an isolated fight. It is just going to be a 3v3 currently here as they're trying to set the crossfire. Taking a look at all the position coming out for them. But right now, it's going to be the Yeet squad. They're able to take the roof here and kind of push them back.
Very nice job from them. The doors and you saw the arc or the thermite that took out the door did not take out fences, so they will be able to hold it down. Also, the timing there on that ult as well coming in. Where he hit that and allows them to hold this building down. Also going to give a shout out to Pick on the youth squad. because one of the two players that's been in every single finals for these ALGS online tournaments. Formerly, we've seen him play for Bow Down as well as Rebel, but now here on the Yeet Squad. Keep in mind, Yeet Squad did come in also with a 4th place finish in game number 1. Haven't had as strong performances since, but still 2 games to go for them. Back on board with Energy, still holding this ground just to the southwest of the Overlook complex overall.
And I love how much space that Energy are actually controlling here. Now, this spot, making sure that teams are going to have a difficult time rotating in from No Name, from the town just outside of Vault here. And so making sure that a lot of these nooks and crannies are covered and they know where every team is in this position is going to be incredibly strong, especially for a team that needs to pick up extra kill points, especially in these last 2 games.
Absolutely. We've seen teams hold this very well, and mainly because you do have this little bit of cliffs and rocks just to give you opportunities to engage and disengage as you please. Now, even though this looks like an exposed high ground, you can really be selective with your angles here. I was actually wondering where the fences were going to be coming in from more, because we did not see fences out where Frex was extending to. So they've decided to take a little bit smaller perimeter. I don't see a huge problem with, but you do often see teams taking a little bit more of a perimeter in terms of fencing in this specific area here, Jamerson.
Yeah, one thing I will note that with the positioning of the first circle, and then, of course, the subsequent circle here, that a lot of teams kind of realized that it was going to be Overlook proper. And usually a lot of times we do see kind of teams middle around over at the Vault City or over at Fragment East. But this time around, a lot of teams now kind of favoring a rotation to the north-hand side because they know how troublesome it can be to try and make it to Overlook from the south-hand side. It's much easier to try and rotate in from the north, which is why we're seeing a lot more concentration in that area right now.
Absolutely, and teams also, if they're in that north spot that you point out, Jamerson, if this end circle does pull a little bit off of the cliff, a little more central in terms of Overlook, not on the cliff edge, they're going to be in an okay position to play that edge, and certainly the teams that are even in Overlook on the westernmost buildings are going to be hoping for that sort of pull as well. As we take a look now here at the Rogue side for just a split second, but now once again back to Shiny Muffins and BTJ, who have a little bit of height on the top zip.
I will say, though, the pace of this game is very similar to what we normally see from Overlook circles, where already before the round 2 has closed, we're already down to 42 players. Usually, by the time we get down to round 3 in this similar circle, it's half the lobby remaining. So we're still on that similar pace, but a little bit more accelerated than we're used to, I would say. And I think that's why we're not seeing as much also a concentration of teams on the south, because a lot of it, the herd has already been thinned out here. Now on board with Bird, who have a good position here, even though they've lost Mirapro and they haven't been able to get him back into this. You know, you can see the respawn beacon right there, because so many teams have already taken up position. They haven't been able to get that. Nocturnal still alive. He's at least made it into the top 15 for his team now, so that's 1 extra KP. But, you know, it's 1 KP to the 2 that they've already, 1 placement point to the 2 points that they've got overall.
And now here's Rogue picking up a few extra kills. There's more great damage there out of both Dropped and Sweet, excuse me, as you see them both working together on those kills now. Going to try to fly up and make sure they're able to exit this one. You see another knock coming in the feed as well. Sweet's just going to cozy up, likely go back up to this height in just a moment. Snipe Down playing the edge here on this very eastern side of the epicenter cliff, a very common hold for teams that are either late rotating in this example, or if it's a little bit more central, you'll see teams hold that for quite some time into the late game.
This is an interesting position, but now Nocturnal, you heard the zip. I thought someone was coming up behind him. He is on edge at the very least here. He understands that he needs to try and survive for as long as possible. Right now, of course, sitting at the bottom of the standings here, every single placement point matters. Every single KP matters here. You don't want to finish last. You don't want, you know, as a champion squad, to drop down so far in the standings here. Liquid have been on an upward trajectory, but since their win, they haven't been able to recreate that.
Absolutely. Now looking once again, Sweet Dreams does set the portal there in a safe area. Only a few shots coming in. So he's going to do a little bit of scouting here. Pings on the dome to make sure teammates are aware there is a squad going to be there as well. Not too bad in the armor department, but they're going to be looking to pick up some extra KP and some swaps, as they're going to have to make their way in. They are one of many teams playing this edge.
Along with Nock as the solo rat, I believe there's one more, and that's going to come out from Yeet Squad. I believe they're down to a solo themselves here, and that kind of accounts for, I believe, all most of the deaths in this lobby so far. One more player might be missing from a team, so that would leave a duo left as well. For the most part, take a look at kill feed right now. Madness and Pow coming up huge, picking up some extra kill points, try to maintain this lead for themselves.
Absolutely very important as we keep an eye on KP are going to become more and more important as you point out. Jamerson also got to point out Yeet Squad. We talked about them earlier. That's Bowsworth 6 and Scurry. They're in 7th right now, so a little bit more at stake for the Yeet Squad ratting than we might think. Nocturnal, as we mentioned, Liquid right now tied with NRG at the very bottom of the standings. But Yeet Squad's rat strat tier going to have a little bit more impact on the overall points here in online tournament number 5. Also taking a look at Huge Gorilla's POV. They had some good real estate towards the back of this corner of Overlook as well. But taking a look at the feed here, that's going to be going down to Rocker.
Team Superior here now, all down to Borden. And Borden has to just back off here, as you do not want to have this team in front of you. Team Fisher, all 3 of them just barreling down now, but it looks like they're getting third party.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on Fishers. Fishers a team certainly we've been expecting big things from. They're actually on the bottom half of the standings as well so far, just a few points up of Rogue. They're only sitting at 11 points, a team that absolutely needs big performances in game number 4 and 5. But now taking a look once again at the Birds side, they're going to be exactly where we left them, and they're maybe still going to be. I only got to look at the mini-map for a split second. Now back over to Rogue as they're doing some damage here down on the low ground.
They've taken out 2 of Lil Poggies out already. Promos and Force down now, trying to finish off the final ones. The Niles will go down, and that is huge for Rogue. You had just mentioned it just a second ago. They were a few points below Fishers here, and so the middle of the pack, there's so much movement that can take place here in game number 4, setting up for game number 5 comeback, and so this is huge for Rogue.
Very big indeed. We said how they were playing Edge, and they were going to want to find the right battle to take so they could level up their armor just a bit before they have to make even more difficult rotations. They're now going to be just a little bit better equipped to get themselves into the mix. Like we said, right now sitting in the bottom 10, they're going to be looking to change that, especially after their performance from the last time. Look at Nocturnal trying to stay alive, though. TP does go down. Bat immediately trying to stay alive. He knows that as soon as he rounds this corner, he's going to be exposed to more silos and more angles as well. So just doing whatever he can to get down in. And he's actually found himself a decent spot if he could stay alive here, hoping that another team might challenge and give him just a little bit of extra comfort. But for a moment, he gets some time to breathe. We'll check back in with Rogue in a moment to see what their trek into Overlook looks like.
Yeah, Nocturnal even bringing over that white
like that
armor
pull.
just for a little more.
Absolutely, I love this. This is a fully dedicated rat strat. Doesn't matter where they are on the table. Love to see this from Nocturnal, putting everything he has into this endgame in game number 4.
Able to bring over another armor as well, so he's effectively got an extra 100 HP to play around with at this point. As of course you don't have the cover of your teammates to try and buy some time for you to heal, so you need these armor swaps right now. Going back over to Fishers though, they're trying to make this push up the hill, and I believe it might be NRG, but no, they're actually sandwiched in between. It's Rogue coming up behind them.
And now here's Rogue's push. This is the one that we were actually wondering about, as we do see kills coming in. But Jamerson, you're right, because NRG's in the feed as well. Unsurprisingly, based on where they were, they're going to be joining that action as well. Rocker needs to get this Phoenix off, but look at this. Just gets the Phoenix off. Fast heal being a huge factor in that timing. Excellent job there from Rocker. He's the last one alive, though. 10 squads left here is being melted, and he goes down before he gets in the portal.
Gonna try and survive. Remember, if he could make maybe 2 more placements, but no, he will go down. That's 10th place position for them now on board with Shiny, Muffins, and BCJ here. This is a squad they've been slowly putting on points every single round. They just haven't had a great breakout round quite yet. Nocturnal's still alive.
Well, Nocturnal's king of the castle. He's got this entire back part of Overlook to himself, and I don't quite understand how he has this exact piece of the map at a time like this. As you do see portals though coming in, you just heard it and saw it on the mini map as well. Needs to get up and be very careful here. One thing we did see, NRG was able to fight through that. I don't know if I caught in the feed exactly what happened with Rogue, if they were able to stay alive through that as well. We'll keep an eye on that. I don't have any obs on them at the moment. Now, as we're back on board with NRG still making their push in as well. Frex going to be a quick armor swap, but does have to put the bat on it as well. Nathan here on gold now. That portal is going to go down, TPing back into the silos.
Yeah, Nocturnal might have a surprise for him here. But they're going to just go ahead and set that up early because they do have a team still to their southwest. They want to make sure they clear out as they run this in. This is the fast side of the circle, so they got to do this quickly here. Circle to be closed in less than seconds. Nice crack coming out from Nathan there. Good spray from the R99.
Absolutely. Now Nathan and crew getting ready as they're going to have to make this move. They know other teams are going to be making very similar moves, so surprisingly looking towards the south and the west as they're going to see those teams coming up here trying to get sprays, but they also know that they're going to have to be moving themselves as well. That's why you see Nathan making these moves as the Wraith. He's going to be the one to go in first. Let's see a dome up ahead, so that's going to give them just a moment to go ahead and pop up as well, but immediately goes down to Shiny's PK. Vaxlon joining that as well as kills being exchanged on both sides.
Now it's all Moore and Frex here, surviving with less than 100 HP between the two of them right now. Moore backing off, and Frex will go down. It's all to Moore.
Oh man, look at that, and we thought that maybe it would be enough to allow him to get the battery off. That's not going to be the case in the end, though, and that's going to be Shiny Muffins BCJ picking up those kills as well. Now, a Fast Phoenix coming in from Shiny as well. They'll have an opportunity to push in. Pow Pow still getting damage in the kill feed. 7 squads now left. Nocturnal still up.
He's still alive. Now, unfortunately for him, I don't think he has any more shield healed here, but the most important part is, of course, that he's getting into that area where you're just getting more and more placement points as you're about to crest onto basically different breakpoints here. So he just needs to keep continuing to do what he's doing so well so far in this game.
Absolutely. Now lots of shots certainly being heard on all levels. Needs to be very careful here. As we said, teams that were still in that western part, you need to go. I want to hear on these last 30 seconds what the team comms might sound like for Team Liquid. Let's go ahead and listen in to see if they're actually talking about how in-depth these rat strats are.
Never seen you lose these. I think there's a guy right next to you, yeah. I don't think he saw you. Yeah, you're good.
And Chambers said, we were curious. Things are as silent as we might have feared on the side of Liquid. Sometimes you do hear a little bit more back and forth between the teammates, but actually you did hear for just a split second saying, we don't think the guys on Godsent saw you, so he's going to continue to stay alive here now as we out the hierarchy and crew now. As a reminder, Godsent right now sitting in second place with 41, 10 points behind Skirt, but also 10 points above Complexity.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Skirt have completely gunned down here, but Complexity still alive, Shiny still alive. This is huge. Our top 3, we're within our finishing here, and so we'll see in just a moment exactly who they're facing off against. Complexity only have 2 alive. Shiny and company were able to pick up 2 gold armors. It's going to be clutch as the circle closes in. Can't exactly tell where it's pulling. It looks like due to the pings that it is pulling to the north there, just off the railing, and so we'll see if Shiny, I think they might have the angle here to really take advantage of the teams that have to scramble for this next position.
Absolutely. Now several Evo shields in play, as you had mentioned, Jamerson, Monsoon, and Lou here with only 2 players. Pre-portal is going to go down. We do see, like I said, the McCarthy and BCJ ready to fight here. Some great damage coming out of the 99 of BCJ. He will connect quite heavily on that engagement. Now 30 seconds until these teams will need to be ready to move. Thought about jumping up there. Now wing shots coming out of Shiny as well. Several of those connect, and now take them with Evo step into the kill leader role with 5 kills here. Good stuff from them, but does need to go back and pop a fast bat before moving in here. Now 4 squads left, Chambers.
Yeah, and with no one else on their side, they don't really have to worry. It's again basically them against the world here. They're going to be able to free fire onto them, setting up a short portal just in case to play with here inside the next ring. Again, they've got a great crossfire set up now, but they do have to push in with the zone. Nade comes down, connects on the BTJ.
Muffins is the first one to go down in defeat. As you see, that's coming in from Pride. Solafide picking up several kills there as well. Now still going to go through the portal here is Hierarchy. He's going to stay alive. And I think, yes, indeed, I think it's going to be Hierarchy who actually is going to be the one who's able to stay alive the longest there with the wing in the end as well. And a little bit of madness there, and that's not the first time, Jamerson, we've seen any end circles that end right there on that edge of Overlook on that platform just before the cliff, that things can get really crazy in terms of that final end circle.
Yeah, that was absolutely insane. And we haven't really gotten one of those endings where it's just kind of 3 or 4 teams running into that final circle. We've been kind of blessed all day long with having very succinct, very clear kind of team fights by ring number 7, by ring number 8. And that was one of the first frenetic ones that we've seen all day long. And so it's kind of a nice change of pace, I'm not going to lie.
It absolutely is, as we'll go ahead and take a look at those stats in just a little bit. But it's a big performance for Godsent because, as we said, second place with 41 points for them. We saw Skirt exit earlier. That's going to set us up, as is so often the case, and we get often so lucky that game number 5 really is going to be a toss-up with these teams being so close going there with the standings. But pretty amazing stuff there. As a reminder, Complexity was in third with 31, so we'll have to see exactly what that performance does for them as well. Waiting to see some post-game stats up on my screen so we can start to do a little bit of quick napkin math to see exactly where these teams could net out with 10-point gaps between first and second and third. It's not so often that you always are able to see that, Jamerson.
Yeah, again, if we have that kind of same narrative that came out of the EU ALGS, where we had that one amazing 5th game rally coming out from Alliance that really propelled them up to 3rd place, the possibility is still there with how tightly contested the middle of the pack is right now amongst all of our competitors, that like every single point is going to matter here. And so we got to be diligent with our math. We got to make sure we're keeping track of this.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see, especially just how these are going to net out, because the kills that come in for the likes of Skirt, Godsent, and Complexity, as well as a few of the other teams that are towards the middle of the pack, those are really going to start adding up to set us up for game number 5. But to get into that math, we're going to go ahead and go back over to the desk to take a look at how that last game played out.
Thank you so much, Bravo and Jamerson. Fallout here, joined alongside Onset, who's joining me in Octane's room here in the dropship for some analysis. Good to have you. Good to be chatting with you, buddy. Yeah. The man is a god. Yeah. The man is an absolute god. Hot Take is an absolute god. Onset's here joining me. We could be playing some racing games in the back here. You know, Octane likes to hang out and kick it the way that you should be kicking it and hanging out. Is we're gonna get some Hodsick revived here soon and back in the analysis, of course, for post game of Game 5. But Onset, interesting game number 4 there. We heard a lot of good insight from Jamerson and Bravo as they were talking about some of the standings and how things were shaking up quite a bit. But really, the storyline and kind of the surprise, to be honest, of this tournament has been Godsent alongside Skirt.
Yeah, absolutely. You two top of them at the leaderboards going into that game. Godsent with a huge win. Winning in a game number 4 really does set you up for success. The question now is, for a team that we haven't seen been put into this position where you're kind of on the brink, right, of winning a championship and calling yourself a tournament winner, do you have the steel? Do you have the, the confidence, the nerves? It's a new situation for a lot of these players, and it's something that really cannot be undervalued, especially when you're coming under pressure from players who have been in those competitive positions before, have had that experience of being in those sort of situations. So I think a lot of pressure is really going to be on them, and it's going to be interesting to see if they change their game style or how they approach this game going into this final game. However, I would not want to see that, because if you change what has been a winning formula, all of a sudden things look a little bit differently, right? You leave the door open for someone else to come in and steal that away.
Yeah, don't fix what's not broken. That's a good call out. And of course, as we're taking a look at the final moment here, I think that's a great point. And honestly, I think it's a clutch gene. Some people have it, some people don't. Having watched esports and having competed in esports at a top level, I didn't have the clutch gene. So I've gotten second place the majority of times in a lot of tournaments, and some players just don't necessarily have that. So we'll see who has that clutch gene going into Game 5, because honestly, this is up for grabs. It could be Skirt, it could be Godsent, it could even be Complexity with the big game here in this one. So interesting to see how things shake up going into game number 5, and really it is anyone's game at this point, as we're about to have the results of game 4 ready for you, and we're going to take a look at the overall standings to see exactly how things shake up and net up for us. But honestly, that's an interesting storyline, and at the end of the day, none of those two out of the three teams I mentioned were teams that we didn't really expect to be here.
And I think the fact that we are seeing this constant evolution now of teams sort of announcing themselves in the ALGS and putting in these big performances, not only just in North America, but in Europe as well. We're seeing new teams being formed, putting themselves together. We saw some of the hype videos of people just making it to the finals. And there is that constant flow of talent coming through and people learning and progressing as teams as they stay together, they grind, they work. And it's showing here, right? I mean, TSM, I said I wasn't going to mention them for the rest of the show. I've let myself down, all right? They're not here in the final, and that just shows the depth of talent that there is in North America at the moment that maybe we're not talking enough about. And the beautiful thing about that, it sets up every tournament to be exciting moving forward.
Yeah, that is a great call up. I looked at the standings yesterday and at last night as things kind of finished up with TSM not qualifying. And part of me was a bit disappointed because you want to see that storyline of who can dethrone, honestly, who are still the Kings. You can't call them not the Kings, even though they lost the last two. They got in second place the last two, and they won 5 straight tournaments before that. So we didn't have that storyline to talk through. But it does shake things up a bit, and it does offer some new storylines and a new opportunity for heroes and a new opportunity for players to kind of make a name for themselves. And especially in this open bracket format where anyone can sign up. You watching from home right now, yes, you can sign up and play in this tournament. You love to see it. You love to see that Cinderella story type of scenario. And not to say that Skirt and Godsend are that Cinderella story because they've been competing at a top level for quite some time. But I'm really interested to see if they can come out on top. Let's take a look at the Game 4 results and see how things are currently standing going into Game 5. And we talked about Game 4 results a bit earlier. We'll show the overall results in a moment. But yeah, another big game for Godsend. A team that also showed up well was Shiny, Muffins, and BCJ, former Fnatic NA. But let's look, when it's all said and done, at the overall standings to see where exactly things are at going into game number 5. It is Skirt holding on to first place with 63 points. And right now, you got to think it's a two-way race on set.
It's a two-way race for sure, but if you wanted a team to be in third place who could have a massive pop-off game and go absolutely insane, it'd probably be Complexity, right? They're the team that could do it. They can put up a 25, 27, 28, however many points you want to get in a single game of Apex. That kind of game, they have it within them to do so. But for Godsend and Skirt, I mean, great stories, right? Godsend, we didn't expect to be at the top of the leaderboards. We have to say, maybe come game 5, but they are there. For Madness, he's been working for so long to be put in this position, and he can taste it right now. They've just got to close it out, and it's easier said than done because everyone's going to be chasing them down.
Yeah, for those that are not familiar with Madness, it's quite the story. CLG, Chronologic Gaming, had a pretty awesome, very entertaining, and one of my favorite teams to watch at the Krakow Invitational in Poland. That was, of course, alongside Nicewig and No Cocoa Puffs. You may have heard of them, some legends in their own right. They did this kind of split where they just kind of weren't working as a competitive team. They said, hey, let's all pick up our own teams and see what we can do. No Cocoa, Nicewig, they all kind of found some success, but it's great to see CLG on Madness really, really finding his own success in his own right, if you will. And of course, with that Skirt squad currently sitting in first place, it has to feel good. And so much love for iMadness. He's always so positive on Twitter. An amazing individual. Make sure to give him some love. But you did say that third place squad, if there's anyone that can do it, it is Complexity. We know how crazy aggressive they can play. We know how many kills they can drop. I believe they hold the all-time record in online tournaments for most kills in a game with 20 plus kills in one game. You guys all know them. If you don't, you should check them out. It's Monsoon GG. They're insane.
They could do it again. And if there's, as I say, look back on game 1 of the last 3 tournaments, that is what Complexity can do. Can they do it again in a game 5? That's the big question for them. And I just feel like if there's a way for Complexity to win a tournament, it will be in this kind of style, right? The underdogs, the scrappy guys, the aggressive guys who like to, go about their business in a way that maybe some other teams don't. This is the way for them to win it. A scrappy team full of incredible talent. And if anyone's going to do it, it could be them. But we should be talking about the top 2. They're the people who have their own destiny in their own hands.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Godsend, a team of young guns that are looking to perform in an incredible way. They have performed so far. We'll see if they can do it. They're down quite a bit to Skirt. Skirt has quite the advantage. They've won 2. They placed top 4 in that last one. They've just played consistent. Godsend finally won a game that last game as well. So they're trying to match tit for tat what Skirt is doing, interestingly enough. So let's go ahead and jump into the highlights there of games 1 through 4. We have highlights overall going into game 5 as we're, of course, keeping the players a break for a crazy game 5 finish. We got to let them relax and rest and reset a little bit as we're currently watching game number 1. It was all complexity all day. We talk about the high frag potential of this team, and it came strong. They dropped 14 plus kills, a first place finish, and that's the complexity we are used to seeing, especially in game 1 of these tournaments. However, game 2 is a different story. Complexity got taken out early, and this is where we started to see some of the relatively unknown or teams that we're not maybe expecting to perform and get top 3 and finish top 3. Meanwhile, this is the epic listening, the epic flank from Kubsky, and the epic finish from Skirt against Kubsky and Co. in game number 3, where ultimately Skirt did come out on top in that one. Then, of course, finally, speaking of complexity, early game fight. This man's a walking highlight reel. If you check out his clips on Twitter, you see it. Monsoon, aka one of the most entertaining individuals. You saw clips of him right there. But in the end, it was Godsent that came out with the win in game number 4. And I'm now back and joined with my man Hodsec. In case you were wondering if bathrooms exist on the dropship, they do. Hodsec went to the bathroom real quick. He was just taking a nice break. We didn't have to recover his banner or anything crazy like that. He just took a little bio break. What's up,
Plus,
Hodsec?
I heard Onset had like a game to cast or something. Who knows?
Yeah, he may or may not have a game 5 in his future. It's probably good to give him a chance to gear up for that one, that's for sure. But you, of course, had a chance to watch, even though you went on break after the game, clearly. You had a chance to watch the gameplay in game number 4. Anything in particular stick out to you outside of some rat strats coming in from Liquid that got him, I think, to 5th or 6th place?
I mean, despite that super informative listening that we had, honestly, the thing that just strikes me as pretty crazy across the board with this entire tournament is it's the first time in any tournament you just see all, like, for the most part, most of the big teams just not really performing at all. Complexity is up there as well as Shiny's team, but other than that, Solafide, I think this is their lowest placement since OT3. You got Fishers was expected to do super well. They're down at like 19. Rogue not doing too hot. NRG not doing hot. Liquid not doing hot. So it's really starting to look a little bit more like the European tournaments where it could be almost anyone's game. And I think, as Onset said, it's kind of paving the way for new talent. So you kind of love to see it. It's not the same storyline every single time. Interesting things happen, I guess, when TSM is not in.
Yeah, things get shaken up. It's not just the TSM domination show, that is for sure, as everyone kind of elevates their game to TSM. But I think it's honestly, it's a reflection of the gameplay. It's a reflection of how much work and effort these players put in, and how evenly skilled things are starting to become in Apex. It really says a lot about the skill and the effort that these teams are putting in, and kind of how things are starting to neutralize a little bit. We've seen it for a while in Europe, where it was really anyone's game, and now same thing's starting to happen in North America a bit. Perhaps, we thought it was just our top teams that we can consistently stay at the top, which honestly it's one tournament. Easily we can see. We'll be interested to see how people bounce back. But I'm interested to see nonetheless what type of new meta, what type of new landscape we have here in North America as well, Hodzic.
Especially coming to you got to keep in mind that this is the last tournament on this patch. There's a lot of rumored big legend changes, big meta changes coming in Season 5. Obviously, we had the introduction of a new character, so it'll be really interesting to see how the next one shakes up, because maybe the teams that are strong on this patch, all of a sudden the next patch's playstyle might not work out for them, or vice versa. We might even see some even newer faces come to surface.
Yeah, that is for sure. We, of course, are in online tournament number 5. We have more online tournaments to follow, where we will see what the story how it continues to unfold. But of course, we're not done with this story yet. Online tournament number 5 still has to declare a winner, and at this point, it's really one of two teams' ball game, I think, is what you have to think. Those two teams are so far ahead. Complexity lagging behind with 40 points in comparison to the 60 plus that Team Skirt and Co. have. Of course, online tournament number 6 is May 30th through 31st, so make sure to mark that calendar, and we'll see exactly what happens. Will TSM come back, etc.? But we got to wrap this one up first, that's for sure. It looks like game number 5 is ready. We gave our players a bit of a break as they're gearing up for a game 5. Make sure to follow all things Apex on social and tweet us using hashtag ALGS. We've gotten some amazing tweets. I've been reading them. We've been showing some of them on stream. You can also tweet ourselves at Fallout with 2 T's and at Hodzic. Would love to hear your thoughts going into game number 5. Predictions. I want to see all your predictions right now. So send a tweet using hashtag ALGS and let us know who you think is going to take it here in game number 5 and who you'd like to take it. And with that said, it looks like game number 5 is ready. It's locked in. It's loaded. And to call the action, we got Onset back on the mic alongside Rain Day. Take it away.
Thank you so much, fellas. That's a tremendous desk and a tremendous cast before us as well from Bravo and Jamerson, Fallout and Hodzik, respectively. And it's Rain Day and Onset to bring you the final game of series number 5 here on the online ALGS and game 5 as well, Mark, which is going to decide whether Godsent or Skirt most likely take the win. There is that little bit of wiggle room for complexity to have one of those alliance games at the end. But barring that, we will see one of 2 teams take home first place who have never taken home first place in the tournament.
Yeah, a huge opportunity for them to make history, to put something on their CVs that they haven't got on there at the moment, right? Game 5, though, is a scary place. If you are in top place on a tournament and there's someone who is breathing down your neck, because you know one mistake, one single mistake, one shot miss can cost you that first place. So they're going to have to keep their wits about them. They're going to have to make sure that they are fully focused on the job in hand. And also, we're talking about the top 2 a lot. Keep an eye on the kill feed. If you see Cole, you see complexity, if there's any team that can do it, Rain Day, it's going to be them.
And I think Godsent maybe asking for something from God here. A little prayer, a little bit of relief. Say we're still close. Let's not have anything crazy happen, especially in Capital City, as we see a little bit of the nice environments here in World's Edge, where these teams are going to be dropping down. 20 squads will fall, 1 will remain at the end of it. We followed along with Rogue throughout most of these games, but it is turned into a 2-horse race. Despite Rogue here dropping on Mirage Voyage. But like you said, anything can happen in these games. We'll just call the action and we'll see what unfolds here. You already see the first passive from the Pathfinder, kind of showing that it is going to be one of those southern circles, and they are in prime position there in Mirage Voyage to be set up. The Happy Campers as well, fighting near tree as they've done every single game thus far.
Yeah, and once again, that fight going down around tree, it's almost like, you know, I said it in Europe when we were talking about it earlier, definition of insanity, right, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And that is kind of what is happening for the team who keep challenging the Happy Campers. I think 1 out of 5 games they might have won that battle, but the Happy Campers, for them, they're absolutely fine with it, right? Free KP, that's what they're going to be saying.
Yeah. It's funny because they're fighting a team called Free Kills, and that's definitely what they're giving up. And so we'll continue to see whether that strategy changes in the next online. No disrespect there, and again, in Game 5, when you're not in the race, it's easy to, I think, get a little frustrated and just kind of say, you know what, there's nothing we can do, even if we go Herculean here, even if we pull out a rabbit from the hat, there's just not enough of a trick that's going to make sure we end up making big ends meet here in this one. So they're going to give it up. They're going to fall. That's the first squad down. And 19 remain here as we follow along with Madness. These guys, they've just been fantastic. Skirt in the lead here of this lobby. What a performance from them, Mark. Not only just having the, I think, consistency in these last 2 onlines, but having some bumps earlier on that we mentioned, and then finding through those, finding answers to what wasn't working, making the switch, and now look at what it's done for them. Look at how much it's paid off.
A huge amount of success, and you know they're going to be absolutely elated with their performance so far. But as I say, when you get this close, the last thing you want to do is be looking back on these kind of moments and thinking, what if? Because they don't come around very often. So keep an eye on Team Skirt. Just to give you the lay of the land, if you're just joining us as well, Skirt currently in first place. They're on 63 points. Just behind them, 6 points behind, is Godsent, and Complexity are in third place on 40 points. So they're a little bit far behind as far as points are concerned, but there's still an opportunity for them to do it. But the real 2-horse race, like we mentioned, is between Team Skirt and Godsent. So keep an eye on kill feeds, keep an eye on the POVs that we're watching to see who is going to take online tournament number 5.
And I mean, even just fighting right there, you could tell that these guys said, we got to just play like we would play. You know, you see somebody rotating, you see some free damage, some free poke, you feel pressured, everyone's alive and well, looted up. Take a shot. Why not? You know, I've seen a lot of different approaches to these Game 5s. And when you're in the lead, sometimes teams try to hide. They try to, you know, relax and chill. We saw how that worked in Rogue's favor when they were trying to catch up to TSM. And I think I like the fact that Madness is saying, I'm playing as usual. We're doing what we used to do. We're doing what got us here. And we're going to continue to do that. And that's what's going to get us the win overall today. I like the confidence in the approach.
You know, cliches are cliches for a reason, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And it's been working for them so far. You'd be crazy to try and adjust something that has brought you success to this point. So it's in their hands, as we say, but the team who are currently holding the championship banner, if you like, from the last tournament are, of course, Rogue, and we're going to be watching them here as they move from Mirage Voyage, etc. As we usually have an early fight going down here around the Harvester area, and that's going to be a pretty intense battle going down early on here, and it's no surprise to see a couple of these teams getting nice and aggressive because they know if they want to get into the money spots as well, we're not just playing for championship points, but they're going to have to put KP on the board as well as good plays.
And he really finds a couple of kills himself, and there is a huge squad wipe as well. Expensive Agents getting into it with Bird. And I believe it's going to be Expensive Agents who end up finding the answer there. Huge Gorilla finishing off a couple, and so that will, again, eliminate one of the 20 squads. Now we're at 18. We're flying along with Nacho Dog on WEA, with Who's Crumbing and Reach. They're rotating down underneath Mirage Voyage, where that Pathfinder pass showed most of these teams where the circle is pulling.
So where you're going to be looking for teams to rotate here with this second circle available for those Pathfinder teams, as you say, with the beacon being used, is probably to the south side of Mirage Voyage, where you have that height advantage. You can get up there, you know, that's a fantastic position to be in as well. And it looks like Mirage is kind of just in there at the moment. Train Yard is an option as well, but Hot Springs down the bottom, also a very viable end circle here. So high ground, kind of the interesting area that you want to be holding down, right? It's where you get the best vision across the map, or where you want to set your next rotation down. And you can see Rogue here, who did land on Mirage Voyage, currently set up on one of the highest POIs in the area, up on this top of this rock, where Sweet's going to pop a bat, a snipe down, and drop to move in to try and clear out Mirage Voyage. And they can then control essentially all of the high points on the map to sort out where they want to go on their next rotation.
Absolutely. I mean, this is, you know, vital vision, but Rogue, they lose drops, and he's already down. He's been finished. This is difficult for them. They kind of started to fight it. They're going to hope they can finish your snipe down. He loses his shield. He gets a couple of shots, and there's the Caustic as well. That's people only getting involved. You can tell he's the only Caustic in the lobby as of now, unless there's been some big change to the legend choices here from the side of Wea, and I don't think it is. And Chime who goes down as well. So James, he's going to fall. That will be the end of their group. Approaching 17 squads left, and maybe Wea just kind of escaped this fight, as it ended up kind of being something that wouldn't really pan out for them. They just backed off, and it seemed like Super Lonely was the ones who took the brunt of that.
And an easy res here as well for Rogue. They've got that beacon that's up on Mirage Voyage, and the loot's going to be there, so that's not too much of a loss for them as far as the time consumed. They're still going to be in a good position as far as next circle is concerned and their rotation. So a big win there for Rogue is going to put kill points on the board for them. But again, the bigger story is still yet to evolve and be answered as far as the questions are concerned, is who is going to be the champion in this game. But as you can see now, Rogue just relooting, taking their time, dropped, is going to be able to do it. But pressure's still coming in, and it looks like let's get aggressive here, Rogue. And if there's another team that's going to be able to move up leaderboard quickly with the playing power that they have on this squad, it is going to be Rogue.
They're trying to actually make things happen against the Happy Campers here. These guys caught a treat. They ended up finishing off the expensive, not the Expensive Agents. It was free kills, and then they're turning into fodder for Rogue. So THG falling, that's another crew. Rogue getting into the action. They've got a lot of kills, and as you mentioned, Mark, that's a great point. Rogue, yes, we thought they were going to have a little bit of a brighter overall tournament. They've got 17 points right now after winning the last online, number 4. But, you know, with a big enough game, let's say they get a 25-point game, that pushes them into around the 42 range. I mean, that puts them into third place as it stands if Complexity doesn't gain any points. Certainly, fourth place, especially since Team Superior is only at 29 points now. So these top 5 positions are up for grabs, and Rogue is playing like they want one of them.
Now we're going to move on to some of the teams who have kind of set up in Train Yard at the moment. Maybe they don't have that Pathfinder beacon, although Promo is playing the Pathfinder. So it could be interesting to see where this ring pulls at the moment. You can see so many different POIs currently set up, but one team who is not set up for success at the moment, as two players have fallen, is Complexity. So the dream of a miracle Game 5 from Lou, Monsoon, and Reptile looks to be fading. Reptile, the last man alive, with just an Evo shield to work with as well. Unfortunately for Complexity, I don't like to call things early, but this looks like they will be out of contention as far as a top spot is concerned, but still an opportunity maybe to place in those top spots.
You know, you don't want to call the tie before the extra time whistle, but I think at the end of the day, this is just too much of a deficit for them to overcome here. We're going to have to try to get them on the second leg, and of course, we have more online tournaments coming around. And so we'll see if Complexity can, of course, take first place in that moment, but it seems a little too impossible mathematically now. Still, again, Skirt and Godsent, the teams we're going to be following for that top 1 and 2, and we'll get you on their POVs in just a second. But Rogue, they have been causing the action. If you can look at chaos, if you look at the cause effect of this lobby, it has definitely been Rogue in Game 5 here.
Sheesh. Yeah, well, look at those shots with the Havoc as well. And just looking at Sweet as well, I wondered if he had any meds to pop potentially to get that shields back up. I wasn't sure, I couldn't see in the bottom of my screen, but he's going to have an opportunity to go and loot up if that was the case anyway, having just absolutely beamed that player with the Havoc rifle. And now you can see Rogue again, just trying to get aggressive on anyone who's in their way at the moment. And that's going to be another kill there onto Crummy. And Rogue at the moment, I don't know how many kills they have in total, but I'm pretty sure they have at least 7 or 8 to their name. So a big game here from Rogue, just reminding us of how good they can be.
Yeah, a squad that, again, obviously has the potential to take this mark. And we look at it, and there's so many teams here in North America who can have success, but it has been a battle of consistency. And this is what even teams like Fishers, who qualified at such a high level in this lobby going into the finals, Synox, Crust, Rocker, Apex, both great, all three great players, just haven't been able to put it together the way that they wanted today, although they are doing decently as far as staying involved, middle of the pack. 19 points here, a good performance, could certainly put them in top 5. They are running away, 2 kills now, and trying to just hold up 3 purple shields. That's a decent start heading into what would be probably the mid-game at this
8
point.
syringes, by the way. Anyone need?
In this lobby.
8 syringes?
Looks like
You have room for this?
Yeah. Why is the server so laggy right now?
There's the medi right there.
Got you. I don't need it. We're probably gonna have to rotate on next ring.
Okay. It's pulling right here, bro.
Yeah, I'm seeing it pull up there.
I'm gonna literally portal us right here. Most likely, I know. I literally watched this.
Yeah, we've had it in
this team is turtling so hard. Are they even up there anymore? I don't even know if this team's up here anymore, bro. I just see a bunch of fences.
Zone's coming in. Cub, can you watch with me?
Are they up there?
Yeah, go watch them. Go watch them, Hierarchy. Go watch.
I'd rather have
watch
2
Hierarchy.
people.
Yeah, go watch Hierarchy.
They're still there.
Okay, they are.
They may not be pushing, but it's like I'd rather have 2 people just in case. Especially with purple and blue armor. They are above.
Okay, yeah.
They're 100% above somewhere.
This team must be so poverty if they're playing like this. Like they're not doing anything.
Yeah, we can portal right past them. They're literally they're
turtling so hard. Like I don't know why.
It's fine. It's fine. Oh, it's that one. That's not this one.
Okay.
Let me portal real quick. Let me see. Watch
it. We could honestly.
Yeah. I'm gonna portal past them. Ready? I'll tell you. Come, group up on me. Group up on me. We might take this portal. I'll tell you if it's free or not.
Okay.
It's free. Take it. We could gatekeep this team. Take it.
Coming.
Put a fence here.
Okay, I'll set up both here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Team up there.
Put your ult right here on me, Ham.
What about here? What about here on your portal?
Okay. Yeah. They're gonna be high ground. Gatekeep them.
I'm holding a slight bit of high ground. I got a weird angle. I will.
Yeah, stay there.
I gotta get him back. I gotta get him back. I have to get him back.
Gatekeep that shitter.
Yeah. My hand is sweaty. Just like
I have 6 more fences. I'm gonna throw a few in our back here.
All right, interesting look, and because we have the the overall view of these teams, we can see Godsent setting up to gatekeep a team that's moving actually towards the northeast side and taking a different approach. So they are setting up some defenses for an army that's just not going to come. But I think, hey, better safe than sorry on set. Got to see a little bit of a overview of where these guys are. Again, sitting in the perfect position, only 6 points out of first. The only team has a chance to beat them in this lobby is Skirt. But right now, we're with Synox, Rocker, Apex, and Crest of Fisher still sitting middle of the pack as well.
Just a touch very quickly on the comms that we heard there. One thing that stood out to me, and you said it yourself there, right? Better safe than sorry, especially when you're in a position to win a tournament. That little call of someone might be here, and I don't want to poke it myself. If I'm going to check it, I want you to come with me, just so that if something happens, like I don't know, someone gets craven, right? Then at least I can get back to a safe position and get picked up. So just those little micro communications, that little bit of making sure in certain situations that you're giving yourself the best opportunity to succeed. Although it might seem like such a small thing, right? It's just a sentence being said. It's so much information being relayed from one player to the rest of his team.
And here we see the team that was so close. Oh my gosh, this was Skirt. They were actually looking at the exact area that Godsent came out of. And what would be probably the most interesting thing here is Godsent and Skirt connecting with one another. A fight for essentially not only this game and staying alive, but the tournament itself. They are very, very poised to be able to do so. You see those three that we're following, the three directly to the southeast is the team in first. So if they end up finding there, right now they're paying attention to the Rat, who is sitting up top, trying to make sure they finish him off so he doesn't cause anything. But as the circle moves on set, the two top teams could be about to fight one another.
And this is what it could all come down to, right? I said championships can be decided by one missed shot, one thing that doesn't go your way, or one huge play that completely changes the complexion of how this Game 5 is going to end up. That could be happening a little bit sooner than maybe we were expecting, but what better way to win a tournament, right, than taking out the closest rival to you? That fight, we will catch it. I promise you that. If it goes down, we'll make sure that it's on your screens and you can watch it go down.
Godson and Kubsky, they look to just rotate as well. They know where the circle's going to be. And here it is, Madness and the boys sitting on the high ground, but they missed the rotation themselves, and they're going to try to catch up to the party, even though they arrive fashionably late. But in Apex, that's sometimes not the best approach there, even though it was cool in high school. These guys, they want to stay alive here. And so far, so good. They find a couple of shots with the R9, but the Thermite starts to burn in, and Madness, he goes back to the squad, says, hold up, guys, let's push as a group.
Yeah, this is big moments here in this game, in this entire tournament. For Team Skirt, you saw Madness trying to set that portal down, and now there are going to be eyes on that portal exit. So the question is here now, do we use it as bait? Do we try and walk this in? Do we play a little bit safer as we see Godsent, Haraki, they're picking up a kill point for them. So that means that they're getting a little bit closer to that team that's in first place, of course, Skirt, just eking away at that lead. And trust me, Skirt, who are in first place at the moment, they will be keeping an eye on that kill feed, and they will be seeing those points racking up for their opponents.
And what's so important, Mark, is not even the kills, it's the downs. The second that down comes, and they have eyes on who is actually the one getting knocked on this hill, they're going to see in the kill feed that it is Skirt, it is Vaxilon, it is Madness, and they're going to know this is the team that is sitting between us and first place right now. How do we make their lives as miserable as possible? How do we force issues for them? As you can see right now, Godsent trying to rotate. Ambino getting a little low. He's going to pop a shield cell as well. He's got the interception pylon if things get bad, and it's getting bad. Oh boy, it's getting worse. He's burning. So is Godsent, and he looks like he's going down. Hierarchy falls. Ambino, he falls. It's just Cubsy. He's alive, and he's trying to make it out from danger, but he is in between a rock and a hard place. And oh my goodness, he's got a Phoenix kit, but he's also got people chasing him down. Mark, this could spell the end. This could give Skirt the win.
And who was the team that was putting pressure on them? It was Team Skirt, the team who were holding down that first place, taking out their closest opposition. So a ballsy play from them to take that fight with 13 squads still remaining. But I love the fact that they did, right? We were saying, don't change your gameplay. Do what has been successful for you so far in this tournament. And again, Team Skirt are doing just that. And now it's up to Kubsky to do something absolutely miraculous. Pull off the miracle here on World's Edge if they want to take home that first place.
And I believe Reptar, who might have still been alive, was actually maybe showing a little bit of focus. It caused Vaxilon, maybe Madness, a little bit of pause. You can see it is Reptar, so they knew, and that little distraction gave a little bit of movement, and I think opportunity for Godsent to stay alive here. They might have gotten the res off, and you can see it. Madness trying to go ahead and push. It is Reptar who falls. Dropped is falling as well. And oh my, I still believe that Godsent has been able to get out. It's Kubsky running for his life. Will this do it? Will this give Skirt the win here? Kubsky still managing to play spoiler for now.
Yeah, somehow he's still in this, and it is a somehow, as we now see the grenades coming in. And this is pressure now onto Team Skirt. They need to be careful themselves, because they're kind of in a very open position, and look at where that ring is about to pull as well. They're going to have to traverse across an extremely open area in front of them. That means they're going to be open to taking shots from every other squad who is currently left in this lobby. So you're looking at Team Skirt, you're looking at their last player alive. He could do something huge here if he can outlast this team that we're watching right now, Team Skirt.
I think Kubsky is actually still underneath that building, and they may know it. They know that one member is alive. If they can finish off Kubsky, they can win this tournament. They actually don't care about that team up top. They can take 9th right now and essentially still win. But it is this man right here, Kubsky. We've been listening into, we've been following his actions, we've seen his plays and the momentum that he has allowed Godsent to have throughout this tournament, as well as Ham, as well as Hierarchy. He is still alive, keeping their hopes of winning OT5 alive with him. Let's take a look to Casper, though, who are on that high ground. Any of these teams fighting back, whether it's Rogue getting into a fight with Madness in the squad, they could actually play spoil. But look, Madness, he's just going for the kill. I think he's trying to find Kubsky, but he goes down!
He's down! He's out! Madness went for the big play. I think he was trying to finish off that player, and that means that now it is just a 2-man squad here for Skirt, and their closest opponent is still alive in the game somehow. But can the 2-man outplay the 1-man? That's the big question as we see Blackstone come under pressure. Pow as well. He's in trouble. It's so tight here, and they're desperately just trying to find this one player. Can they get the kill first? They can't, and it's Kubsky! Somehow he stays alive, Kubsky, but finally he will be taken down. It was an all-or-nothing play here from Team Skirt, but in the end, it was worth it. They get the kill that they required.
And I think that has got to do it. Onset, I think that play, even though it took all 3 of them to do it, the efforting that went into the moment, they found a way to get their nemesis off the battlefield, and that should be enough to claim OT5 for them. But let's not celebrate just yet until we get the confirmation after the game. But it looks almost assuredly that we will have not only a new winner, but it will be Skirt who claimed the victor. Still 6 squads left in this lobby, though. And Rocker, Apex, Crust, Synox, and the rest of Fishers looking good with the high ground.
Unbelievable. I am just like, I'm sat here with my mouth open at the balls that is on Team Skirt at the moment to go for that play. You recognize the game situation with so much pressure on them and with so many teams looking over them. It almost backfired, right? It almost went so badly, but they clutched up at that final moment as we now watch the end of this game, this final game 5, as we have Team Liquid still in contention. But wow, I mean, in my opinion, that's one of the ballsiest plays we've seen in the online tournament so far.
Absolutely. And the reason is that you don't understand the placement points alone. I mean, if you survive to 2nd place and you die at 9th, that could be enough to just simply erase the lead that you had leading into it. And oh my goodness, the fact that they had lost one and they still both committed instead of trying to play 4 points in this game and extend their lead that way. What a decision. We've said it before, a bad plan executed well is better than a good plan executed poorly. I don't know how great that plan was, but boy, oh boy, they sure committed, and it ended up working out for him. Backslon, he will fall, and so will Bromo. That is Skirt actually still alive here, somehow. Big time stuff for them. I don't know, maybe it was a revive.
Well, we're currently on board with Fishers at the moment. They're set up on top of these tracks. They have the power position as far as height is concerned, but they will have to drop at some point. So 3 squads now remaining, and I wonder if they're going to make the decision to drop, because they're dropping down a little digi threat as well there. Maybe just playing a little bit of bottom to try and bait out some of those players. Let them get on with the fighting before they come in and try and sweep up the scraps that are left.
I love it as well, man. We see DS Bird, Stay Naughty, these guys doing their best to try to finish off what could be a big moment in North America, getting yet another win. But of course, these teams, they want to show that, hey, we're here for this game, we're here for the next tournament, we're here for every moment that we can perform. And that is absolutely what they're doing. Thugga as well, trying to reload the Peacekeeper, as well as B. Borton here with a Phoenix skip, but no need to use it. He's got full purple steel, things get heavy. And oh boy, big takedown there, 2 squads left.
Yeah, here comes the drop as well, and I wonder if they're going to play height or they're going to set up portal, what they're going to try and do here. So many options for them to try and play this, but somebodies, you know, we haven't been talking about them very much, going up against 3 very established players within the Apex Legends scene, and it's a case now of, do they want to take the fight? Are they going to try and play the heal off? Now, I would tell the answer to that, because Xenox, Rocker, and Crust will take this fight, in my opinion. There is no doubt that they do not try and force this situation.
No, they feel real good about this position. I don't believe you can shoot through those grates, but you can get vision. And Crust, obviously, Synox, Rocker, Apex, they've got a great position here. They've got Wraith Portals if they want to use it. They've got Gibraltar and Watson, so they've got defensive abilities abound, and they've also got some offensive capabilities, but they're fighting against the exact same mirror composition themselves. It is going to be Fishers or somebodies who takes game number 5. It's just a matter of who's going to take what. Will they zipline? They will. This is the full commit. Let's see what happens. Running in with Peacekeepers and a Dream.
Unfortunately, the dream is all it will be as Fishers take game number 5 here and will pick up the championship banner. But Rain Day, we have had confirmation on what we were speculating on. The champions of online tournament number 5 is Team Skirt. What a performance from them. Amazing stuff. And in my opinion, as I said, the ballsiest play we have seen so far in Apex Legends in the online tournaments. They committed, they just about managed to execute on that decision, and it worked out. What a performance from them.
I love it, man. I really do. I love the commit from Skirt, and you have to say congratulations to these guys as well. You talk about even I think from a casual perspective, if you just watch Twitch streams or you have Twitter, you can tell that Madness and this squad, these guys are good people and they play for the right reasons. They play to really improve themselves, to continue to accept moments where they fail and to be better next time. And that's what happened. They didn't have the easiest of early routes to get here, but the fact that perseverance has resulted in great performances and I think the ability to engage in online 4 and now win online 5 only spells up and up for a squad of this level and this caliber. These guys are the real deal. A ton of respect to all of them. Congratulations on the win. Team Skirt, really skirt in their way into victory today. Big proud, big moments from them.
Yeah, a huge congratulations and a real exercise in perseverance from Madness. I want to give a huge shout out, though, to his teammates. Of course, we've got Pow and we've got Vaxlon, who have formed this squad, which obviously has incredible chemistry to perform so well. A huge congratulations to them. A huge apology to my neighbors, by the way. It's currently 4:48 a.m. over here, and I'm screaming at home, so apologies to them. But let's give the plaudits where they're deserved. As I say, never give up attitude from Madness. Found himself 2 teammates who have performed to the highest possible level. Enjoy the victory. That's all I can say on the matter.
Madness, Pow, Vaxlon, Team Skirt, they are your winners of OT5 in North America. For the full breakdown of the results and what just happened, and to get us out of here, let's send it back to your analyst desk with Hodsick and Fallout. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you so much, Rain Day and Onset. Much appreciated. And a great call to game number 5. Fallout here, joined back and alongside the former pro player himself, analyst extraordinaire. It's Hodsick, as we are going to wrap up the North American tournament. Unlike the European finals, which we saw, this one really a landslide in favor of Team Skirt and Team Godsent. 2 teams that none of us honestly would have had in our top 2, top 3, maybe even in our top 5 going into this one. An amazing performance from both of those squads, but ultimately it's CLG, I'm Madness alongside Pow and Co. with Team Skirt. They're going to take home a first place finish. A massive congratulations to them. And Hodsick, I got to ask you, as we're going to take a look at the final moment there, it was, of course, Team Fishers that won game number 5, a team that we did expect to place top 5 or maybe top 3, but didn't necessarily get the placement they wanted. What worked so well for this Team Skirt squad? And, of course, what maybe didn't go so well for Fishers as we're watching them here?
It's tough to say. We couldn't follow them throughout the entire time, I guess, so to speak. But in terms of Team Skirt, I mean, Madness, I'm genuinely very happy for Madness. Anyone who's followed him, and he's got a big following in the Apex scene, knows that he's been at it for some time. Had a bit of unlucky runs with a couple different teams. I believe only qualified for the finals for the first time last tournament. So for him to constantly keep grinding, never taking a break, and to finally pull out a win, it's probably got to feel really good for him. So big congratulations to Madness and his squad.
Yeah, and we talked about a little about the storyline earlier. The former Counter Logic Gaming full roster of Nicewick, No Cocoa Puffs, and of course CLG, I'm Madness was an amazing team to watch. It was amazing to see their brotherhood, the hype, the passion, and Krakow Invitational. But it was really a big community discussion when they all 3 split, went their own kind of ways from a competitive perspective, focused on streaming, and of course a lot of streams have blown up. They're both all great contributors to the Apex Legends community. But Madness never gave up from a competitive perspective. He continued grinding, found the right team, and it's great to see him finally get the placement that he's been working so incredibly hard for. Of course, found 2 great teammates to close that one out as well. And it was a great showing across the board from the entirety of Team Skirt. They won 2 out of 5 games. They placed top 3 in a few other games. Just a really consistent showing throughout the entirety of that one for Team Skirt. And then, of course, in second place, most likely, we'll take a look at the standings to see if anything got shooken up, but was Team Godsent, another squad with a great story and a great to see a squad that we haven't really seen a whole lot of in the ALGS finals. We've seen Kubsky here before. We've never seen him in a top 2 finish. So their first top 2 finish, you got to put your hat out and give a big congratulations to them as well. Talk about this team Godsent squad, who I know you've played against and watched for some time.
Absolutely. I actually know them from a game prior to Apex, 2 of them at least, Kubsky and Hierarchy. I've known them for a little bit of time now, so it's good to see those boys finding some success as well. I know they've been at it for a while. I believe their first break was the Texas qualifier. They qualified. I think that was the first time in an Apex tournament that they actually achieved a really big feat. Unfortunately, obviously, the tournament being canceled, but they still continue to grind, and it's good to see. I mean, they again, a lot of these players sometimes take breaks, go play other games for a little bit, but there are a lot of these repeat players like Madness's team, Godsent. They've just been hard on Apex the entire time. They want to be, they're grinding to be some of the best players, and they've certainly proved themselves today for sure.
And we just took a look at the final moment there where Team Skirt, we just talked about, took out Team Godsent. Kubsky was the last remaining hope. Found a really good rat spot, was in a really good position, but ultimately, ironically enough, it was the team he was chasing after that took him out as they were getting shot on the rotation. So a happenstance type of meeting between those two teams, and ultimately Skirt, with that kill, whether they know it or not, secured themselves the first place finish. A great finish from Team Skirt, as of course, also a great finish. You got to give your hat off to Team Fishers for taking home a Game 5 win. We'll take a look at the results for Game 5 momentarily. Team Fishers did win Game number 5 with a star-studded lineup. Rocker, we were talking in the off-air chat. He's arguably a top player in North America and arguably a top player in the world. A very good individual player. What makes this player and Rocker so incredibly strong?
I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's the young blood, because for those that don't know, I believe Rocker is only 16, and he is definitely one of the most gifted players playing the game in general. That entire squad is very good. I'm not sure how much they, hard commit to Apex. I believe this team may have just been formed just to play for this tournament, and I mean, they still did really well. Obviously, they're all players that have played the game for some time, so it's good to at least see them get into the finals and at least get a win. That probably still feels good.
Yeah, and some of these players that we've talked about and watched are just insanely good, insanely talented. It's like riding a bike for them. The fact that they can form a squad for this online tournament, see what they can do as an open team, and come in, take home first place. Team Fishers, I believe, in their semifinal group, and then have a solid showing here in the grand finals as well, says so much. Another team, or player at least, that did that was BCJ, one of the younger talents who played a snipe down at some point and is also incredibly talented. He played alongside Shiny and Muffins, the former Fnatic and A squad, who we know had a great showing in game number 4 as they got second or third place there. But it looks like the game 5 results are in. We were just doing a quick final check to make sure everything is accurate. Let's take a look here. Team Fishers with a 29-point game.
It's pretty big.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? We didn't realize how much they had dominated that game. I'm glad we've been giving them the amount of love and respect, because let's see where that takes and puts them in the overall standings. Rogue with a 13-point game as well. Let's take a look at the overall standings. Somebodies. I got a shout out on Twitter to somebodies. Big shout to that squad. In the end, Fishers beats Complexity, one-ups them to a 48-point finish. Third place, top 3 for Team Fishers. And just like we had thought, it is first place for Team Skirt, 10 points ahead. Godsent in second place. In Complexity, the same story continues. A strong game number 1, but not able to follow through games 2 through 4.
Absolutely. I mean, just take a look at that top 10. I mean, there's a lot of new faces there. Not to the Apex scene. That a lot of people who are, again, who follow scrims and ranked gameplay see a lot of those players that are up there. But in terms of tournament play, there are a lot of new teams up there, which I think all the teams that either didn't make it and plan on competing, or all the teams that are in the bottom 10, a lot of teams that made a name for themselves today that certainly other teams should be respecting now, I think.
Yeah, that's incredibly true. A lot of teams made their name for themselves. A lot of players made a name for themselves as well with great individual performances. We actually have the kills leaderboard ready. Let's take a look at the kills leaderboards, all up for games 1 through 5. A lot of red, white, and blue on there, but Canada's representing. My man Crust, third place with 13 kills, at least in the kills leaderboard. So Crust of Team Fishers. But look at that. Pow Pow and I'm Madness, 1 and 2 respectively, both from Team Skirt. A very, very strong finish from them and performance from them as they hold on to 1 and 2. Synax, of course, also holding on for the Canadians, but in the end, Solafide trying to put some, trying to show up there. Monsoon, you see on the top list, who we know is a fragger and a very, very good individual player, but he's, of course, behind Blue and Reptar. Great fraggers in their own right, but ultimately, this Skirt squad just played so well individually here. Hodzik.
Yeah, I mean, like I've been saying this entire time, it's been pretty crazy to see a lot of the big names. A lot of them just not, what I would imagine perform up to par. Or I'm sure a lot of them are probably disappointed with themselves. But at the end of the day, it is only one tournament. There are a lot more to come, and I'm very, very interested to see how things go, especially with the next patch, and see how teams shift and adapt and what kind of metas come out of that.
Yeah, we talked about earlier, end of May is the next online tournament, and something tells me we're going to have quite a few changes in Apex Legends until then. So, online tournament number 4, you were a beauty. Watching World's Edge, who knows if World's Edge will be the map. There's going to be a lot of changes coming. If you're a fan of Apex, I'm sure you're just as excited as we are for Loba Season 5 and some of the changes coming up here momentarily, some of the additions to Apex Legends. And, of course, online tournament number 6 will be much different. That is for sure. And we've had some great gameplay. We've had some great conversations on Twitter as well. We actually had a tweet from Scooby Actual. Let's take a look using hashtag ALGS. He said, on Madness TV, said, get some huge plays and a big congrats to Skirt as GG. Well played, boys. Hashtag ALGS again. Big thank you to everyone that was tweeting, joining the conversation all day long. Shout out to Scooby_Actual on Twitter. Hold it down as well. You guys can tweet at us using ALGS. Of course, as always, you can also follow on Twitter at PlayApex. On Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, you name it, across the board. Send us some tweets. We'd love to hear your kind of finalized thoughts. Got some great tweets all day long. And of course, make sure to give some love to the Play Apex Twitter as well. Online tournament number 6 is the end of this month. As we mentioned, May 28th to 30th, I believe, are the dates. And guess what? Battlefy registration is going to be live here soon. So make sure to punch your ticket to secure a spot. It is free to sign up, free to participate. All you got to do is sign up. So anyone that's playing ranked, anyone that's grinding, part of that community, you heard Hodzik talk very, very often about ranked play, about online tournament play, the difference between the two. All you got to do is take that first step in online tournaments. Registration will open May 19th at 10 o'clock Pacific. Mark your calendars right now. Set your alarm clocks and make sure to get registered early, whether you're in Europe, North America, Asia Pacific, you name it. And of course, you can go to battlefy.com/ALGS for information, details on all things the Apex Legends Online Tournament Series. Of course, the rules, playbook, all the details that you're looking for, you can find on battlefy.com/play/ALGS. And again, big shout out to all of our teams, all of our players that competed, not just the top 20 teams in Europe and North America that we had a chance to watch. Hodzik, in the end, it was Skirt that came out on top. You had a chance to watch both broadcasts. We saw some new names. What are your overall thoughts on the entirety of the day? Of course, your second broadcast ever. You did a pretty good job.
Well, thank you. I certainly just hope to be an asset. I just want to be seen as useful and bringing something valuable to the broadcast. So I appreciate it. But I was very impressed with the EU tournament. Like I said, this is probably one of the best EU tournaments we've seen since Poland in terms of just like an EU team rosters. But very surprising. I don't want to say like a really upset for the North American one, but I'm sure a lot of these fans that are fans of Rogue or Complexity or what have you, I'm sure a lot of them are shaking their heads at this tournament, like what happened. But it's also, like I said, it's nice to pave the way for a lot of new faces, especially ones that don't have orgs or that big of a following. This could kind of help pave the way for their gaming careers. So hats off to all those guys that have been grinding regardless of where they are.
Yeah, I love that story. Honestly, this opens up the door for a lot of folks. If you're watching at home, we just showed the link, battlefy.com/ALGS. You can sign up online as well. And I think that a tournament like this goes to show it's anyone's ballgame. Obviously, these teams have been scrimming, have been competing. You got to start to get to that level, but it takes time. It takes practice to get there. So I agree. This is a tournament that really showed that anyone can win at any point, even in North America, where it's been so top heavy, so dominant by TSM, by Rogue, by Liquid, a lot of these top orgs. This time it's Skirt that takes home the first place finish, and Godsent right behind them in second place. And speaking of which, Team Godsent with an amazing performance in North America, and they actually are the ones that are going to hold the title of Play of the Day, really thanks to their comms and their teamwork in this play. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Is Godsent not only with a great overall performance in terms of their standing, but also with our Play of the Day.
We're in right here. Like, we'll be on top of it.
Yeah, we will.
And you can hear the comms. That's really what makes
Get rid of pings. Get rid of pings. Get rid of pings. I need to look.
Get rid of it. Cup, get rid of it.
Get rid of that. Get rid of that enemy one. I can't see it.
I don't know.
That's Cup team. Get rid of your enemy. Where is that? It's on us. Like, it's literally on us. It's on the stairs right here. Cup, you portal play. We'll play live.
Yep.
What do you mean portal play it? Where is it?
It's right in front of us.
Where?
They're fighting hard.
I gave us a zip so we can play above them.
Yeah, you could juggle play it too, Club.
Where is it? Where do I stop it?
It's right in front of us. It's right here.
There. Exactly on my ping.
And we'll juggle. We'll juggle. Me and you, Hierarchy, okay?
Yeah. Watson right there.
Cub, you gotta just play life, bro, okay?
Where is it dropping? Are we on high ground?
No.
I don't know. I don't know where we're in, to be honest. But we're really just trying to play for it.
Damage.
Can you put your ult down?
Actually, that's a good idea. Put
your ult down here.
I will.
Right here.
I'm dead. Got lots of kills. We got a kill.
Whoa,
nice.
that nade.
Let's go!
Oh, we won! We won!
Nice!
What?
Yeah, I went through portal and I killed last.
I portaled! Holy fuck!
And the pop-off
Let's go!
follows. You love to see it. You love to see the comms. You love to see the reaction. Of course, no better feeling than winning a game of Apex Legends, especially when it punches you a potential top 2 finish in an ALGS online tournament, that's for sure.
Oh, especially at this highest level. Even if you don't have that great of a tournament running, nothing feels as good as winning and beating every single other team in the lobby. And at least one game, you can take that away with you. But obviously, they did very well overall, so the hype kind of just transitions and carries with them. So massive, well done by them.
Yeah, congratulations to Team Godsend. Something tells me this is just the beginning. We're going to see a lot more of this squad as they'll keep scrimming, they'll keep grinding, and we'll see a lot more of them in online tournament number 6 at the end of the month. And speaking of which, that's going to be it for online tournament number 5. A major thank you goes out to our entire production crew, team of 20 plus that put so much work and effort into this cloud-based tournament. Of course, all of our casters, a big thank you to our casters. Of course, we had Bravo, and on set, we had Rain Day and Jamerson holding it down throughout the entirety of the day, from beginning with the European finals all the way to our North American finals. Big thank you to our boys holding it down as casters. And of course, thank you to every single one of you, our viewers that are watching, fans of competitive Apex. Keep spreading the word, and we'll keep growing this thing stream by stream. It's been amazing to see Apex Legends shine at its highest level of competitive play. Thank you to all viewers, all teams, all orgs, everyone that contributes to this entire ecosystem. We are super excited for the future for online tournament number 6. We're so glad we had a chance to bring you the broadcast today. On behalf of myself, Podsick, the entire broadcast team, we will see you guys next time for Apex Legends Global Series online tournament number 6.